Welcome to Picksburgh, everyone. This is Anthony. With me, as always, I have my co-host Michael over at Huddle Card Collection. Guys, make sure you're following him if you have not already. I have his link in the description down below as well. We alternate every week. So next week, we're going to be over on Michael's channel. So if you want to make sure you see every episode of Collecting Profit, you need to make sure you follow both of us. Michael, how's the week going, man? Anything exciting over on Huddle Card Collection that people should know about?
Man, everything's going pretty good. Just, trying to sort through stuff. As you see in the little clip there, I have a lot of, blasters and megas and stuff like that I want to start going through. So probably going to start to look to go live some more and, just do something like ripping ships with some of that stuff.
Nice.
Just try and, price it to move it. It's been sitting there long enough and everything. I'm just not going to have the time to rip it all. So might as well get some other people some enjoyment. But other than that, everything's going okay. We went to the card show, which was fun. And other than that, just looking forward to talking with Craig and everything and finding out about, finding stuff in storage units and all that kind of great stuff. So we're moving okay, but moving just day-to-day stuff.
Well, on that note, I want to take this opportunity to introduce our guest tonight. It's a really good friend of mine from YouTube. I actually got to meet him in person for the first time just this past couple, 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, something like that, which was awesome. But for anybody that's followed my channel for any length of time, the very first ever live show that I was ever a part of was called the Mid-Morning Break Room. And basically it was like Craig's brainchild. He got the four guys together that, ended up comprising of that morning show. And he kind of got my, live show juices flowing, if you will. Like he kind of taught me the ropes, early content creator of how to actually go live. Like whenever I screw up and can't figure out how to send a link or do XYZ, because that was before StreamYard was a thing and it was easy and you could just click a link to go into somebody's live stream. You had to actually watch YouTube videos and troubleshoot how to actually do live streams and stuff. So Craig was very, very awesome to me early on, and just a really awesome guy, wealth of knowledge when it comes to eBay, basically selling things. So I thought it would be wonderful to get him on the show to kind of share some of that knowledge with you guys. But Craig, man, what is up? What would you like the people to know about you, your YouTube channel, and what you do?
If you're looking for any kind of content, you want to stay away from my YouTube channel. There's not a whole lot going on over there. We were talking about before we click the go live button. I really done very little in the last couple of months. I went live about 3 months ago. Truly just have not had the time. I've got one little video that kind of pays the bills, so, that carries the YouTube channel, but it's just hard to get motivated to do a lot of content, With the stuff we'll talk about tonight, I've got some footage. I wish I'd put out a video, but again, my time was better invested in processing the items that I found. And I was like, when you look at YouTube, you've got to think about where's your time best invested? Where am I going to get the biggest return on my time? And right now, YouTube was not that,
and the awesome thing is you were still willing to come on and share kind of the amazing things that you found, even though you didn't do content on your own channel. You're still sharing it with the world via us. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Flipping Sports Guy, what's up, my man? Good to see you, brother. Appreciate you being here. We got Kamikaze Sports Card Hybrid in the house. Good to see you, man. Appreciate you being here. We got my guy Paul over at Inside Shop. He has a podcast that happens Friday mornings here in the U.S. I believe it's Friday nights for him. He's over in Manila, but give them guys a follow. Their podcast is called Off Centered on Facebook. Really cool. They have people from all over the world, the Philippines and stuff like that. And it's just a really cool perspective on the hobby over there. So I'm sure at some point we'll probably have those guys on this show as well and do a collab with them. But really cool guy. I highly recommend them.
That's a really cool name. Off Center. That's got a little flair to it.
Yep. Basically, I play on words with cards and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, so Craig, he and I originally met via like reseller content, eBay content. Like I was saying, we had a morning show that mainly revolved around eBay and selling on other platforms like Macari or Amazon, stuff like that. So Craig's somebody that I would consider a seasoned seller. I would imagine you're probably a power seller on eBay, or if you're not now, you probably were at some point before you sold an account or X, Y, or Z or whatnot. But
started selling back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for a long time. You're not a novice when it comes to this type of stuff. But when it comes to the collectible space, it seems like this is something that you've more moved into lately, as opposed to like back in the day. I remember you've sold like a ton of electronics and stuff like that. Have you just recently got into collectibles, or is this something that you've done like over the years here and there?
I've known that space. I started collecting sports cards back in 1980. So I collected from the 80s all the way up until probably 93, 94 was probably when I think we were talking about the NASCAR stuff. It was probably in that 93, 94 range when I kind of stepped away from it. Now I used to buy boxes and packs and stuff like this. Back when you could buy a box of cards, 36 packs for like $30.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was 10 cards a pack.
Yeah.
I was set up at flea markets and stuff like that. I was kind of like a hobby dealer. I was never serious about it. It was just trying to move some of the stuff I had and, that I really didn't want, and trying to build a little bit of a collection. Never really got real serious beyond that. I've sold a couple of cards here and there online, but the resurgence of the stuff that I found kind of got me interested in it, and have kind of pivoted my store and trying to move more in that direction. Because there's a lot of advantages. And I've always talked about not wanting to niche down my store. Just only buy certain things, until I started shipping these cards and these comics and these things where I just grab a dang cardboard mailer and shove a card in it and stick a label in it and go. I'm not worried about having to find a box.
So much nicer.
And I've got, and you'd probably see in the back, I've probably got a stack of clothes back there. I hate selling clothes.
Yeah, they're a pain in the butt, and they're always long tail too. At least if a card's long tail, you can stick them in a small box like this and just tuck them away, Whereas like something like a pair of jeans is probably going to be the size of this box, So it's like, that's the difficult part.
I really don't mind clothing once I get it listed. It's easy to, it takes up space, but it's easy to store. When something sells, I sell jeans and stuff like that. And it's like, I've got a storage unit that's got my stuff in it, and I can go ahead and print out, because I know everything, 99% of the things that I sell their clothing is going padded flat rate.
Yeah.
So I can print out the label, just slap it on the padded flat rate envelope and ship. But it's definitely been a game changer. I've got a lot of my non-collectibles, non-sports cards, non-comics marked way down, just trying to move it. And some of that stuff has started moving.
I've done that with a lot of my stuff too. But I don't have a whole lot left in my store that's like collectible. I've kind of really niched down since I've been like rebooting my store. Right. But as far as like finding storage units and stuff like that, is this something that you've been doing for a while, or like what kind of gave you the kick in the butt that like said, hey, I'm going to start looking and like actually source my inventory this way?
This is my first one I've ever bought.
Damn.
Yeah. That being said, I've been looking on and off for a number of years, and I'm not talking straight every day, day in, day out. But pretty much just whenever I get a wild hair at my butt, I'll go there and all the standard sites where you look at auctions and stuff like that, and just kind of poke around for a little bit. I'm probably going to talk about it a lot. I'm very risk averse, meaning I don't like to take a lot of risk when it's something like that. Especially looking at the prices some of these storage units are going for in other states. Alabama, the highest one I've seen has been like $1,500. And it was pack slam full of something. I don't remember what it was, but just saw this, and the item that I showed you earlier caught my eye. And I'm like, I've got to take a chance here. Reviewed it with a couple of people that I trust that do that kind of stuff. And they said, you're stupid if you don't. I will unfriend you if you don't buy this unit. Okay. So
yeah, but when people that know like collectibles or storage units say that to you, you almost have to. Is that the thing that like finally pushed you over the edge? Like, damn it, I'm just gonna buy the thing.
and I at that point, I don't even remember if I'd said something to my wife. I mean, we're talking. Pretty much when you go into these things, they're not in person anymore. At least not around here, they're not. So it's all online. You're putting in bids. So you're putting in a proxy bid. This is the max that I'm gonna pay for this unit. And I was having a hard time with that. Went into my wife and said, "Hey," I talked to Jason, Thrift Trader, this now Man versus Mystery on YouTube, and he said, "Hey, you need to bid up to like $1,500 on this thing." I'm like, "Hold on, time out. That's outside my tolerance. I can't do that."
Yeah.
And I went to my wife and said, "Hey, this is a slam dunk." Didn't know exactly what it was, but Jason said, "Hey, if you don't buy this thing, I will drive down there and buy it." And I put my max spin at like 325, and I'm like, I hope it does not go that high because I don't want to spend that amount of money. Yeah. The box that we're going to talk about very well could have been 1988 Topps baseball cards that are worth like a tenth of a penny a piece.
Yep,
correct.
And in my mind, that's obviously what I'm thinking. Yeah. There was some logic that I used that finally helped me decide it's not going to be that.
Yeah.
But I told my wife, she said, "Yeah, if you think it's good." And I sat there and watched it, and it only got up to 70, and it kind of sat there for the last 2 minutes. I'm like, it's about to take off. Everybody's waiting on the last minute. Went to 80, and went to 90, and it finished. I was like, oh my God, I've just won this thing. And I was like, I think it closed at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I was knocking on the door the next morning. Okay, I need to see what's in this unit.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. I didn't have a clue what to do.
How long did it take you to realize that you struck gold? Was it like when you got into the unit, or did you actually have to look stuff up to realize like, oh my God, like this is not only like gold, but like maybe even beyond that?
I'm trying to think of when it happened. I opened up the door. There was a small box of comics that didn't have a lid on it. Kind of thumbed through, saw a couple of decent comics in it. It wasn't anything high dollar. I don't know a lot about comics, but I know Golden Age, Silver Age, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I knew kind of what to look for. Didn't really see a whole lot there. Opened up one of the boxes and saw the books that we talked about, and we can go into that once I show that. I knew that was going to be money. Now, did I know it was going to be as much as it was? No. The cards that I found, I actually had to get in a chat with Jason and John and all them, and we started going through them. He's like, look for this, look for that. And it was probably, I think I emptied it down on a Friday night. By Friday night, I'd already had the cards. I'd already pulled all those cards out.
Nice.
So
was there a good amount of stuff like outside of the collectible space that was worth like you listing on eBay or say taking to a flea market or just like resellable type stuff? Like your basic household goods, like shoes, clothing, like video games.
Really wasn't a whole lot of that. And I'll pull it up if you want me to. I'm going to share my screen. We start looking at it if you want to see kind of what I did. And I'll kind of go through the thought process I used.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, especially with you being someone that's new to it, like maybe sharing that with somebody else that's interested in potentially looking into storage units and just like something that, catches your eye or whatever.
Well, while you're doing that, like, question, did you find the process of actually going in now and placing your bid and everything, was that, was it simple to do, or did you have to,
Very, very simple.
Okay.
This didn't happen to be on Storage Treasures. And I think really it's almost like an eBay listing. They're telling you what's in the unit and they're going to give you a picture. Think of this as an eBay listing. Here's your title, pretty much.
Yeah.
Here's your price. And here's your first picture on eBay. So if you were looking at this, what would you think? It says mattresses. Number one, people don't like mattresses. Number two, it says porch chairs. So yes, it did have one wrought iron chair, totes, dressers, boxes, and more. They did not do a very good job. They may not have known what was in here, but they weren't really marketing it very well.
Yeah.
And this first picture really doesn't give a whole lot. That's probably why I didn't have a lot of competition.
Yeah. That's a terrible first picture.
Yeah.
I mean, 90% of the picture is basically just empty space.
Right. They could have had the camera angle different. This was probably what caught my eye first. It's a dollhouse. It's probably I'm 5'10". It comes up to about right above my waist, so it's a decent size. It's handmade. I don't know if it's going to be any money or not. I've gotten a storage unit. I've offered it to somebody for free, just a friend who's got a daughter. That's a mattress right there, so that's not a whole lot. That, I didn't have a clue what it was, but if we look at the more pictures, we'll talk about what that is. So really, this initial view, you really don't see a whole lot. But that dollhouse, I saw it, and I'm like, okay, this has got to be something. So I started looking at the second picture, and this is what made me even consider looking at it or showing it to someone else. If you know anything about cards or any kind of collectibles, comics, etc., you see these kind of boxes, and this is the way I explain it to my wife. These boxes are only used for one thing. You know, you're not going to have this kind of box and it's a banker's box. It's full of other stuff like this. You know,
Yep.
This box right here is a card box, a 5,000 count box. The chances of it having anything other than some kind of collectible card was very low. So if you look right here, there's one right here. I hope you can see my mouse. I hope it's
barn burners.
Sorry. So here's one, and that's sitting up. There's another one below it. Here's one right here. Here's two right here. We figured there were 7. That's exactly how many there were. There were 7 long boxes of comics.
Nice.
This box right here is the big money. We'll come back to that in just a second. This tote right here.
Figure even like a trash box of comics, like I don't want to say trash, but like comics that are worth like maybe $1 a piece. How many fit in like one of them boxes? You probably fit like close to 100 comics in one of them long boxes, right?
Truthfully, I couldn't tell you. It depends on how thick they are. There's some like good sized comics.
Well, yeah, even like one long box of like trash comics would probably recoup your investment in this.
When I showed it to Jason, he said, just rough figures, you figure $100 a box on a long box, and that's it. And that's roughly $1 a comic.
Oh, it's NASCAR, man. Yeah. What's up, my guy?
What's up,
see, man? Speaking of the mid-morning break room, there is now 3/4 of the squad. Now we just need Tommy to jump in, and we are reunited, and it would feel so good.
So, Craig, before you go, you mentioned that when you saw that the 5,000 count box, what made you think that it was not going to be junk wax baseball cards?
I didn't really. I think I mentioned that earlier, but I don't think that I had the feeling that it wasn't junk wax. I had the feeling that it wasn't sports cards.
I gotcha. Because of the comics and stuff, the yellow stuff.
Right, the connection. Most people that are into comics are not into sports cards. Typically, I would think, right? So my thought is, when I saw comics and I saw cards, my initial thought was Pokemon. Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, you know, things of that nature. I really, even if it was sports cards, I didn't think it was. Okay. You know, so that was my thought process. And again, this really doesn't have a whole lot of info. You know, there's not a whole lot of clues here other than this stuff. There's nothing that I can date anything with. You know, there's nothing written on date wise. There's not a lot of dust. That top of that box is just dirty. You know, there's not a lot that I could think maybe this stuff has been in there for a while. But that was my thought process. Is comics and sports cards usually don't mix very well. Sometimes they do, but that's what I was betting on, that it was a Pokemon, a Yu-Gi-Oh, or a Magic.
It does make a lot of sense, actually. If you think of like the demo at like the card shows, Michael, like a lot of the people that I see with comics will typically have more of the TCG type stuff at their booths.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's not always like, you know, the card sports people don't cross to the comic world, but it does make a lot of sense that it would be TCG now that I think of it.
Right. And one thing that drew me to this unit and finally make a decision was, you look at so many storage units and you see them and it's like 30% of everything is just trash. It's just junk. And then another 15 or 20% stuff you're donating.
Yeah.
And this unit just didn't have that feel. You know, it's relatively clean. There's a dresser, a mattress.
That's a real wood dresser.
I almost kept it. And so all the drawers are up here. It had a really rough top. I ended up just donating it along with the mattress and some other stuff. So we'll get to the fire that came out. Just to let you know, this green box right here, as it's sitting there, is about $1,500 to $2,000 in profit. That box right there had, it's not vintage. Well, I'd say it's not vintage. It was all Dungeons and Dragons books. So a lot of monster manual, a lot of modules, things like that. When I pulled it out, there's one, and then there's one right below it. The one right below it didn't have as much, but I ended up with two USPS totes full of books. Listed those the first night. I'm down to, and it was the end of the year last year, a little over a month. I'm down to about a quarter of a tote left.
Awesome.
They've probably done about between $1,500 and $2,000.
Wow.
That stuff moved. The first night, I think I did about $1,100, $1,200.
How much of this unit have you processed already?
I'm still processing Magic cards. I've gone through looking for the high dollar stuff, but
yeah,
I'm still pulling out $3, $4, $5 cards. I've got a stack of probably $250, $2 and $3 cards that I'm gonna list on TCG.
Yeah. And those are what I find, cards like that transact pretty high, just because like people were trying to build out decks and stuff like that when it comes to the TCG, especially with Magic too. It doesn't, from what I understand, it doesn't rotate like Pokemon, to where like every year you need to like have specific cards to stay with the deck. So like even like cards, if they're older, they're still usable in decks. So people are always looking for like those same type of cards, which is pretty awesome.
And I've learned a lot more about Magic cards than I ever wanted to know. It's not bad. TCG Player, the app itself, is incredible. It's good at identifying. It makes mistakes sometimes. It makes a lot of assumptions, but once you learn the telltale signs of what year, what release it's from, the little icon that tells you what set it's from, roughly what year it is, edition, all that, it's pretty easy to tell whether it's made a mistake or not, and then you can look at it. So that's done pretty well. So we've let the cat out of the bag. This box right here, this 5,000 count box, was packed slam full of vintage Magic cards.
That's awesome.
All from the oldest stuff I found is revised, which is probably in the 93, 94 range, 1993, 1994. The newest, I think, was 1998. I spent the first night, like I said, in a video chat with Jason, Thrift Trader, and John and all them. And Jason knows about Magic. He's sold them before. He's like, go through and look for this thing. Go through and look for anything that does not have a date on the bottom. It just has the illustrator's name. And that can either be a white border or a black border. And that's the black border, or just all the original alpha and beta cards that came out. And then the other one. So I started looking through those, just doing nothing but those. And I started showing him things I was finding. I didn't know what I was looking at. I'm like, okay, is this worth anything? Is this worth anything? And I pulled out a stack of about 25 or 30 cards. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. About 25 or 30 cards. And if anybody knows anything about Magic cards, the dual lands cards are like outside of that Lotus card, whatever the heck it's called. They're very desirable and they're very valuable. I pulled out 25 cards that totaled about $9,500 out of this. And again, I'm not saying this to brag. I was very blessed to walk up on this and be given this opportunity, you know. But I took that stack to a local card shop. He gave me 60% of TCG. This was I found him Friday night. Saturday by lunchtime, I had $6,000 check in my hand.
That's awesome.
That's no listing anything on eBay. That's no eBay fees. That's no shipping. That's no returns. And that was my thought process I went through. Because I told my wife, I said, I can turn around and list this stuff. It will sell. It will probably sell pretty quick. I'm not guaranteed that I can make $5,000 in a month, you know? And I was like, I don't have any money in this. We can turn some quick money, either reinvest it, do something with it. In the end, I probably gave up 20 to 25% on top of that, you know, that would have been eBay fees or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But when you think of the time of packing and shipping, you know, I know yes, the shipping is not very hard to do, but just the time of that many cards and everything. So you figure the trade-off.
And that's what I'm still doing now. I'm still processing cards. That was just the initial, hey, I'm gonna thumb through everything. I hadn't really looked at detail and started scanning cards at that point. I knew he said look for the dual lands, you know, there were a couple of 5 or 6 cards. He said look for those. And then I went back with my son. I gave him the app, and we both had our phones. And we were just scanning cards left and right. And I was still pulling out $200 and $300 cards on top of that.
I wonder if that Card Dealer Pro we talked about last week, Michael, would work on TCG cards like Craig's working through.
It's funny that when he said he pulled out a stack like this, the first place my mind went. Card Dealer Pro, do they do those cards?
Is that the one that works with the Fujitsu scanner that you were talking about?
Yes. Yeah. That way you can like literally sit there and process like thousands of them in a day.
And it pulls them in and actually pulls up the prices and the value for each one.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, the TCG player is not that bad. If you get the right lighting and the right backdrop to sit the card on to scan.
Eric says that'll help you get a nice new nursing home.
Yep.
The tapioca pudding or whatever type of pudding that you like. There's a pistachio or I can't remember what the joke was.
Yeah. But pulled probably in Magic, in order to play a card, I think you had to have 4 of that card to really activate or use it or something like that. And I was pulling out groups of 4 of all these high-end cards, which they're even more valuable when you've got a group of 4 of them.
I'm sure.
So I started listing those and done pretty well with them. They're moving pretty fast. I'm done pulling all the high-end stuff out. I'm convinced I'm not going to find anything else high-end. It's all in the less than $10 range, and I'm pushing over to TCG.
Thanks, Flipping Sports Guy. Wealth of knowledge, too, guys. Check him out. Says he doesn't think a card dealer can. To look manually, you can only choose the big 4 sports. That's good to know. I mean, majority of like my inventory is sports right now anyway, so it wouldn't matter that much for me, but that is good to know. I would imagine that's something they would want to add in the future. Harlan's in the house. What is up, my man? Good to see you.
What's up, Harlan? Yeah, he was in there. He was in the hangout that night that we were going through the cards.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It's the type of thing where if you need 4, so if let's say if one of them was $50, but 4 would not be $200, you'd be able to sell it for more than that.
Right. For example, you had 4 of them, they were $50 a piece. If you had all 4 of them, you could probably get $225, $250.
Oh, wow.
Give or take.
So in TCG, most of the time they consider sets of 4 like a play set, like because in most of them, like at least Pokemon, which I'm most well versed in, like 4 cards is considered like the most you can have of any one specific card in a set.
In your deck that you're playing with in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And see, stuff like that, I didn't have a clue. I mean, I know a little bit about, some of the high-end cards. I knew that Dual Lands was a high-end card. I didn't know the details of what it was or what to look for when I was, sorting these cards. But
Derek had brought up selling sports cards on Whatnot. I'm wondering, Craig, do you sell on Whatnot? And have you tried any of your comics or like TCG cards over there yet?
I haven't. I do have. I'm approved to sell over there. I've clicked the go live button one time just because if I ever wanted to do it, I didn't want them to kick me out because I hadn't gone live in a certain number of days or whatever. But I don't know. I'm not going to downplay Whatnot. I think it's a place to unload stuff quick and cheap, unless you have a huge following, and I don't have a huge following.
Yeah, that definitely probably would help, I'd imagine. Collector's Dreams in the house. What up, Orlando? Good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you being here.
But yeah, that the unit was definitely a blessing. Was surprised that my wife even let me spend the night. I told her I was going to bid up to $300, and she's like, "No, okay." And I started, pleading my case with her and explaining how I had made the decision that I was going to bid up to that amount. And she's like, "Okay, you can do that." And we found the 5,000 count box of Magic cards, the comics. Most of the comics, I've sold some Star Wars. I've probably done $200-$300 in comics so far. Some Star Wars stuff. There's a couple of 15-cent comics. They're in bad shape. A lot of Green Arrow, stuff like that. But another big find in there was one of the green ceramic egg grill cookers, whatever the heck you want to call it, smoker or whatever, that was brand new. Nice. That's not a $1,200 or $1,300 grill. But still going through it. A lot
is there anything you've kept for yourself?
The egg is what we kept.
It's nice. Awesome.
Almost kept the dresser like I was talking about, but it had some damage on the top, and I wasn't going to get into refinishing it and all that. But it's been an eye opener, you know. And as soon as we determined what we were making and all that, my son was like, he was scouring all the auction websites trying to find another one because he was all excited. He's helped me process cards and everything. But it's definitely been an experience, and it gives you the itch to want to do it again. And I obviously know that the next one I buy, you know, it's a good chance I won't do as well as I did on this one, you know.
For sure, yeah. I would imagine like the type of unit that you got right there is probably like 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 or something like that.
That's not what YouTube shows you though.
Yeah.
Everyone's a banger, right?
Yeah. I mean, most people just want to show the highlights. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
If it's for watchability, you know what I mean? I don't want to like see somebody like fumbling through, like, for example, like some of the storage units I've gotten, like one definitely had to have been a crackhead's unit because like I found a bottle, like a pill bottle filled with like deteriorated teeth.
Oh, wow.
There was like the weirdest stuff in there. Like there was like 50 pieces of luggage with like nothing in them. Wow. Just like dirty clothes everywhere. Like looked like a squatter was there.
And that,
so like I get it, like why people would want to like have kind of like the bangers of bangers out there. But
I was very lucky. Besides the value that I pulled out, like I said earlier, it wasn't full of trash. I probably had 5% trash.
I'm sure it's normally like the opposite way, where it's like at least the ones I've gotten have been like majority trash, and then like, oh, these items over here are kind of cool.
I donated about 3 boxes of books. I donated some what I would call grandmother or granny clothes.
Yeah,
but the unit made no sense to me because you got these magic cards, the collectibles. It had some records, all this stuff. But yet there were some grandmother stuff in there, like wedding pictures. It was from like way back, and clothing, a wedding dress, a little bit of jewelry, nothing real, you know, fancy or anything. But just usually I would think you'd go into these things and you could almost tell a story about what you find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it didn't seem like there was a connection to all of it. It was kind of odd.
Yeah, that's weird. No, yeah, normally like what I've seen, there are typically a connection to like what happened with the person or the unit or whatever. But yeah, maybe it was like an old lady with like watching her grandson's stuff or something. I don't know.
Right.
Clay's in the house. Good to see you, brother.
What's up, Clay?
Can you share what a day looks like for a picker? It's a good question.
It depends on what he's picking.
So like an average day, I guess, if you're going out to source or list or do whatever, like what's that typically look like for you? I guess what he's asking.
Right. I did this full time for a period of time. I don't anymore. I've got a full-time job. So, you know, it depends on what you're selling and how much you're selling. You know, you got to get, I mean, one thing, if you've got orders for items that you've got to fulfill, that's the first, I mean, in my opinion, that's the first thing you should do.
Yep.
Because that's something you can't ignore. You know, is shipping your items, you know, either listing new items that you already have or going out, like Anthony said, sourcing new items. The good thing is you've got the freedom to kind of set your own schedule, you know, and I think that's a big benefit to people that get into this for various reasons, you know.
That was what was attractive about it to me, you know, especially like dealing with like my back injury and stuff like that. Like if I wasn't feeling good, I didn't have to do anything. I could just chill, you know what I mean? And then when I was feeling up to it, I could list some cards or, you know, whatever I felt like listing that day, you know, like back when I was doing a little bit of everything, you know what I mean? Like I would go in waves. So like I'd force myself to do like clothing or something boring one day, but then I'd reward myself and be like, okay, you're doing toys and video games the next day or X, Y, or Z, you know what I mean? That type of stuff. But
it's so easy to list items that you're excited about.
It is. It really is. Yeah. Like that's why cards work so well for me, because like I'll just wait for a sports game to be on and I'll literally be like, okay, while the game's on, I'm going to list cards. And then, you know, afterwards, I'll just go back to doing whatever I was doing. Right. But for me, I would say the big thing I always like struggled with whenever I was doing this kind of like full time was just oversourcing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like in
Which
the
is easy to do.
going to like garage sales during like the summer or, like stuff like that, or especially with storage units, like, because you're getting all of its contents, whether you want it or not. So you then need to find a place to put it, and then you actually have to be able to process it all.
It's just that, the one thing about, with the storage units is your cost of goods is most times is very small.
Oh yeah.
When you figure the amount of product that you pull out to sell.
And I think that's what a lot of people look at. They're looking at, hey, there's 15 totes in here.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a diverse line of inventory that you can pull. The cost per item is typically pretty low, unless you're in California. You're paying $18,000 for a unit.
Pretty much.
Well, I think you're right from the standpoint of is, I think when you first start as a picker, you're just trying to find stuff. And then as you gain more knowledge, you do, even though we don't niche down very much, we really actually start to niche down in a way and staying away. We may not niche and say our store, we're just going to sell one thing, but we start to learn what to stay away from, or what we don't really want to get involved with, stuff like, glasses and fancy glasses and those types of, more breakable type stuff and so on and so forth as you move along.
I've got probably 2 totes of glassware that when my wife was going out with me at thrift stores and buying stuff we bought, there's probably some value, but I have no desire to sit there and take pictures of glassware. I've got a stack of DVD VCR combos that used to be my game. They just take a lot of time to process.
Yeah.
And with
cards, especially with those, you got to make sure that they actually work before you sell them. You know what I mean? Like that was always the thing that like really made me dread actually having to do it. Was, man, I actually go like to Goodwill just to get a VHS at this point to make sure the thing works.
Exactly.
So like it would just end up sitting on a shelf, because every time I'm at Goodwill buying more inventory, it's like, oh, I can't be bothered to just grab a random VHS.
Right. Oh, for sure. And then you got to have a TV that has the right connections to test it with.
Correct.
I bought a DVD combo recorder from Goodwill last night.
Nice.
I got my Tuesday senior discount.
Nice. My mom does that too.
I think I've got 4 or 5 DVD recorders, combos. Not the VHS recorders, the DVD recorders. They're nice, especially if they have HDMI on them. But I just have no desire to sit there and test those. They're sitting in my storage unit.
Yeah, I was that way too. Like whenever I moved to LA, I had like literally like an entire basement and shed full of inventory, and I was just like, I'm just gonna give it away. I was like, I can't be bothered. This is way too much stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I've learned a lot more about Magic the Gathering than I ever wanted to know. But it's valuable information because I know what to look for if I ever see somebody's collection for sale.
Do you think that like
that's true? Now you got that. You got that extra knowledge. Sorry, Anthony.
No, you're okay. What'd you say?
I was asking. Good, Michael.
You.
I was asking if this is going to be something you think you're going to source like going forward, like Magic and different TCG cards.
If I can find it, I'm the kind of person I'm always on Facebook Marketplace looking.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't care the direction that Facebook Marketplace has taken. 2-3 years ago, you get on Facebook Marketplace and you see nothing but local stuff.
Yep.
Now it's packed full of sponsored ads and national ads and items that Anthony's selling in Pittsburgh that I would never go pick up. It drives me
in
crazy.
The collectible space. I mean, I can't speak for the TCG, but for sports more so, like I've seen a lot of fakes on Marketplace. Like, for example, there was a Steph Curry fake, like the slab was fake and the card was fake.
Oh, wow.
Actually, here it is right here. Let me, like, literally, I just clicked Marketplace and luckily it popped up. But I've been seeing this more and more. I don't know if you guys are seeing it in your areas or not, but let me see if I can share my screen. But yeah, this is like literally the fakest card I've ever seen in my life.
Were they faking a TGT slab?
No, it's a fake PSA slab.
Oh wow!
So
what?
Right here, it should have a PSA logo. And just look how fake the card looks.
Look at the color.
The coloring is terrible.
Oh my gosh.
What are they asking
awful.
for? $300.
$300.
And it's a Gem Mint 10. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yep.
Is that a sticker that goes over the top?
I don't know what that is, but yeah, that's definitely not a real
It's
Curry
got the
card.
logo, and doesn't the logo have a little holographic or hologram look to it on the PSA?
Yeah, it should have like a little gray like holographic thing here.
That's what I thought. I thought it was a hologram.
Well, and you can see they take the angle that way, so they don't have to show the number.
Part, I don't know if they've promoted this. I don't know if they have this promoted, but like every time I'm on Marketplace, this is always like one of the top listings I see for some reason. So,
see you, Derek.
And then I'm pretty sure I looked at the guy's like stuff he has. Like I don't want to put him on blast or anything, but like a lot of his stuff he has is like GMAs or like lower end like stuff that like could be misconstrued for fake, in my opinion.
Right.
But I don't know. That's just something I see a lot in the sports end of things on Marketplace. I wasn't as sure if that like was something that happened in the TCG market as well. I'd imagine it probably would.
Well, when I first got this stuff, I'm not real connected in the local card shops. I had to get on Google, the Maps app to find out what was in my area. and I made a call or two, and I told the guy, the first guy I talked to said, hey, I bought a storage unit, found all these cards. I'm just trying to get some information on them. And so I've got some of the dual lands. And he goes, well, I hope they're not fake. And as soon as he said that, he just came across as arrogant and like crappy attitude. And I'm like, I just kind of hung up on him. I'm like, yeah, I'm not dealing with you. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I wasn't looking for somebody to suck up to me or anything like that. But I was like, why do you even say that? That's just not a smart business decision to make a comment like that.
Oh, yeah.
You could have very easily just said, hey, you got to be careful. Some of those are fake and, that kind of. But
yeah, rather
you think someone calls you and say, hey, bring them in. I mean, what's it going to cost them? Right. I mean, just a little bit of time to look at a few of them. Because, I mean, once you start, if you have a card shop, and you deal with Magic, you should, you're going to be able to tell right away.
Right.
And stuff.
Yeah, I don't really like that the whole reprint market is out there. I think that's very misleading.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yep.
But with all the reprint Jordans and all that, Jordan rookie cards.
There's a lot that are harder to tell are reprints too, because unless you look on the back, like where it has the date, like it doesn't say reprint anywhere else. Like, so unless you're looking at it and be like, oh, that's printed in 2021, not 2001 or whatever, you know what I mean? There's really no way of knowing.
Right.
They've gotten better. And I feel like a lot of these people doing fakes have gotten better at stuff too.
Yep.
I most certainly have. I mean, you think about the quality of printer that you could buy just for your home.
Oh, I know.
Photo quality, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible and stuff. And now you think about it, you could have one of that card, and with the scanners they have now, you scan a really good copy of it, and stuff like that and everything. So, yeah,
true.
It's definitely something that is, going to creep into the market. Not a lot you could do. You can just hope that you catch it.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing to get into as far as storage units go. I ever since I found this one and realized the kind of money I was sitting on, I've spent numerous hours looking at units, even 200, 300, 400 miles away, trying to find something.
Do you search for keywords, or do you just like look at everything?
Well, if I don't think searching by keywords is a good strategy in my opinion, because I need to find the diamond in the rough, like I found this one, but like we said, was not very well promoted. Because if I search for cards, comics, Nike, shoes, if you've looked at any storage unit auctions, those items just drive the price up.
Oh yeah.
If you see shoe boxes, you're talking $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 for a unit, and I'm not getting into that. I I don't need to go buy storage units. If I find one, yes, that's a good deal. Yes, I'll probably buy it, but it's going to be a calculated risk, and I know roughly how much money I can spend on it. And that's not even thinking about the whole YouTube side of the house with that.
Yeah.
I think that's a difficult video to make. I've never made one. I started filming and I'm like, this just feels awkward.
It's just a lot of work. That's the part that really sucks about it, is because like there was a while where I really wanted that to be the direction of my channel, because I enjoy that type of content. Right. And I also like really think that's a great way to get inventory cheap. But then the downside is you now have to like move all of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes you're moving dressers, mattresses, beds, like, and then you might not have just a Goodwill or somewhere you can easily drop that stuff off at or whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's fun work.
But I think the other thing is you have to have it's probably hard to do as one person. Because if you're trying to do the combination of selling the stuff to be able to buy more and then filming them while you're going through them, while if you're out there buying a couple of units every single week or one unit, I guess depending on the size of the unit, you can break them up into a number of videos, but still you have to do all that video work, still process it, still list it, still pack it, still get rid of all the junk and everything. I would think it would be hard for a single person, like just one person. That would be a lot of work to do all three of those. Like if you weren't filming and doing anything, you just buying the unit, processing it, I think that's a completely different, from that standpoint. But I think when you add that YouTube piece in there, all of a sudden, that's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah. It's like doing double the work, because you got to process it for YouTube, but then you also got to process it for eBay or wherever you're selling it. That's the kind of what me and Craig were talking about whenever we met for lunch, and he was like, yeah, I'd rather just process it and sell it rather than process it and then have to like reprocess everything again to sell it.
Yeah, I've got clips of going through some of it. When I first started going through it, I don't have any of the details on the cards and a lot of the cards, but just got to the point where like I've got to focus on getting this money, and the money was in listing and
Well, you could probably make a bunch of shorts and throw them up and then get them viewed and stuff. And of course,
I'll probably take the content that I've got and put something together. It's not going to be a big video. It's not going to be very impressive, but I say to lose the opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely like once in a lifetime type storage unit. I mean, especially because like I've bought in several, and that was better than any unit I've ever had. I'd say the best unit I ever had was full of like Christmas and like different decorations. And like at the time I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy this because like, truth be told, I just wanted to make a video on it. And then I was like, holy crap, like decorations are like super expensive, especially when they're like brand new or like name brand and stuff like that. So like, there's a lot of like, research that really goes into buying and selling storage units. Like regardless of what you just bought, you're now an expert in it because you have to figure out how to get rid of it.
Right. True. And like I said, it was a good learning experience to learn about magic cards, because now I've got that and I can apply it, going forward.
I mean, some things you can't even throw away right now. Like I know whenever I was doing storage units, like regularly, like the big tube TVs, like you weren't even allowed to like leave out on the curb for like the garbage man. So like I had to do research on like, how the hell do I even get rid of this thing now?
big sledgehammer.
Pretty much.
That's when you go 2:00 in the morning and you leave it at the Goodwill.
I have done that with some items that you're not supposed to donate.
or the smaller one, the smaller mom and pop one. No, they won't mind. They don't. What's the chance they have a camera? Well, I think to your point though, Craig. I mean, it's not only necessarily that you gain knowledge in the magic cards, but now as you're looking for a storage unit, now you're kind of looking for boxes that are a certain shape, certain ways like that too.
Right.
Well,
I knew without any research, I knew that those were card and comic boxes. I'd been around that stuff for a long time, so I knew exactly what the cards were, but I knew there were cards in there. And like we talked earlier, comics and sports cards typically don't mix very well.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. You know,
So is storage treasures typically the site you do your browsing on?
I check Storage Treasures, Locker Fox. And I've got an affiliate link. No, I'm just kidding. Let me see where is it? Storage Unit Auctions. Yeah,
I've
those
tried
are the
a few
storage
different
auctions.
ones. I think Storage Treasures is the one I bought most of my units on, just because it's
Yeah.
like the easiest and most of my local ones use it.
Yeah, it was definitely a good experience. I was worried because Jason said that even though you won it, you're not guaranteed you could get there, and they could have paid for it, during that time.
Oh yeah.
We got there, and it was a big relief, and the lady was like, yeah, it's all clear, it's yours." I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was there like one item in there that was just like the holy grail item of the unit, like above everything else, or is it just like a whole bunch of items?
One single item price wise, the egg was probably the most expensive. It's probably retail, probably $1,200-$1,300. It was brand new. There was a grouping of cards, like I said, that stack. Probably the highest valued card I pulled was about a $500 card.
Nice.
And it was one of the dual lands, and I know I pulled 4 of those.
What was the condition like, in your opinion, like without like being like a professional grader or anything? Like, what would you say the condition of the cards were roughly?
They were. I had a couple that were heavily played. They get that almost that little dirty look on the edge.
Yeah.
You can tell where it's kind of bumped up against something. I didn't really have anything that was just damaged. Like I called them moderately. A lot of them were like moderately played, maybe on the edge of heavily. But the ones in that stack were in really good shape. I would have sold them in, it's probably close to near mint. Very good to near mint.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And the guy that the dealer I sold the first stack to had the magnifying glass out. And, he told me straight up before I even looked at him, so I can pay 60% of TCG. Like done. We haggled a little bit. I got him up a little bit, but not much. But
that's still a pretty good deal because then he has to do all of the work. And what is there, like maybe 20% on the bone after that? With fees and all that stuff. So,
but I got my money. I got my money quick.
For sure.
Because that was a Friday to Saturday. Yeah. I finished emptying it out on Friday, and I had sold them on Saturday before lunchtime.
Nice.
What's
your plan with like most of the cards? Like as far as like the $2 to $3, $5 ones you say you still have? Are you gonna try to put like them up in bulk on your eBay store, or are you gonna? Do you have any idea?
So what I've been doing is anything over $10 I've been putting on eBay. I've got some stuff like that where, like I said, if you've got 4 of one card, it's typically worth a little bit more. So I've got some that are in the $5-$6 range. I've got 4 of them, so I'm for like $19, $20, $22.
Yeah.
But the bulk that are in that $1 to $9.99, I'm selling on TCG. We're already level 3 seller on TCG.
Nice.
That happened pretty quickly. So we can list up to 50,000 cards.
That's awesome. So, I mean, I didn't realize on the TCG that it was a selling app also. How does that work as far,
Can
you explain that?
Yeah, so when you start, I think you can only list like 100 cards. And it's just like eBay. eBay gives you your limits. When you first get on there, you're going to list so many things for a certain amount of money until you kind of prove that you're a good seller. Number one, that you deliver your items to your customers. You deliver what you say you're selling. It's the same kind of thing on TCG. I don't know the exact numbers, but you have to have delivery of like 10 or 12 orders on time to go from level 1 to level 2. One thing that I like about selling cards on TCG is that I can sell any orders less than $25. I don't have to ship it with tracking. So you don't get a ding, for not like you would on eBay,
Yeah.
Even if you use standard envelope. And for anything I've listed under the $25 range, I'm still doing standard envelope on eBay. But TCG.
Thanks for hanging out, Dave.
TCG, I think I've got them right here. Yeah, I did. I bought a box of these shipping shield. I think that was that thing I was trying to explain to you when we met, Anthony.
Oh yeah.
A little cardboard pouch.
Yeah.
And I just used to put the cards in a penny sleeve, fold it over, eBay tape around it, then stick it in a windowed white envelope.
Nice.
Don't print out a label. I just print out the packing slip, fold it up, and put a regular stamp on it, which is nice. I think I've got 20 something orders delivered.
Wow.
We've done net probably $160, $170 on TCG so far.
So on TCG, do you get a store like you do with eBay? Like, so do you have like your own like little setup, or basically you're just?
I think you've got a store name. I don't know that you go and you browse somebody's store. I have not even looked at it from the buyer's side.
Yeah.
One thing that's nice about it, you can list items, list cards, and put pictures for the card. But all the listings I've done, I've just gone in and searched for, say, the revised whatever card, and put down. I've got 3 of them. No pictures, no nothing, and I just put down what I've got. 3 that are in very good. I've got 3 that are near mint. I've got 2 that are damaged. And people,
it's kind of cool. It has like pricing charts and stuff like that for all the cards. That's really cool.
Yeah.
This is like eBay meets like Market Movers almost.
Yeah. And it's really a very cool. The scanning tool in their app is very good. You can process cards quickly.
I've used that before.
Not as quick as the app that you're talking about for using the scanner, but.
Do they have thumbnails for all of the cards already though? So you pick and choose if you want to use yours? Yeah. Awesome. That probably speeds things up quite a bit, I'd imagine.
It's almost got the Amazon feel to it, where you're going to it and you got a stock photo. You know? And then you just choose the buyer you want to buy from.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's like a third-party seller on the Amazon platform, Most of my orders have been one card or multiple of the same card. I've had about 3 orders that have been, quantity orders where they've ordered 5 or 6 cards, different cards. But it's not bad. Easy to ship. I can ship an order in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
So you put out the packing slip and have the customer's address in it, so you just fold it so that fits through your number 10 window envelope, right?
Yep. I thought I had one right here. I don't have a packing slip. I usually have one sitting right here close. But yeah, you just, it prints out, and there's a certain place that you realize, hey, I fold it right here where this order number is on the packing slip, and that's going to get that address down into the right position. And then you just go up and stick it in there. And you can't ship. I think I've shipped up to like 6 cards, but I take the 2 and put them side by side inside the envelope. If you do it like this, it gets too thick.
Yeah.
Because on the I'm sorry. if you do it like this on top of each other, it makes it too thick.
Okay. Makes sense.
If you put a stamp on an envelope, it can only be up to a 1/4 inch thick. To go at that, 1 stamp rate or whatever it's called. So learned that the hard way. Got up there with one of my first orders that was like 6 cards, and it was over a 1/4 inch. This is like, I've got to charge you the minimum. It's like $1 and something, which it wasn't a huge order. It was only like a $6 or $7 order, but
that's interesting.
Learned a lot. And then one thing, if you sell cards, I don't know if y'all use these or not. Where did I just set them?
Are you using the direct TCG player, or are you using like? I just now here. Let me share my screen. I just clicked over to another screen, and I'm seeing that there's like several different ways to sell over there, where they have like the regular marketplace. You can be a pro seller, or this almost sounds kind of like an FBA where you ship them the stuff, they do the work.
I think that's what it is, and that's a great example of it. It's just like FBA. You ship it to them. I don't know if there's the advantage, and I don't know what the requirements are.
Well, let's learn more. Let's see.
Y'all using any of these envelopes from eBay? They are great. I really like them.
Yeah, I use those from time to time.
A little bit bigger. Any of my sports cards, or even the Magic cards. I put in that thing I'll put it in this, which protects. It gives it rigidity. And then just drop it in this. I mean, I get these with my eBay coupon.
Yeah,
those are definitely nice.
They're not bad.
That's definitely better than what I'm using currently. Like typically, if somebody gets something standard envelope for me, I'm just using these Dollar Tree 80 count white envelopes.
yeah, but that's all you got to use.
Yeah.
I mean, you put the card in the top load, in a penny sleeve, then what, a top loader or
if
a
it's like a card that can risk sliding out, I'll normally put like a little team bag on it or something like that just to verify it's not going to. But other than that, it's really not going to get damaged.
No.
Yeah. These are not bad. I started out with the card protectors when I first found the cards.
Uh-huh.
You know, like you'd send for a PSA or whatever submission.
Yeah.
I don't like those. They protect the card, but they tend to have a bend to them by default, it seems like, you know. That's why I went to something like this. And I think I paid 11, 12, 13 cents a piece for these. These aren't bad. Yeah, I mean, that's not cost effective to use on a $80, $90 card, but
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, with better stuff like you're sending too, I mean, it does make a difference to send something like in a protector like you have there. You know what I mean? Like if you're sending out like a $500 Magic card or something, like I definitely probably wouldn't want that sent to me in a plain white envelope or whatever. But yeah,
that made me nervous. I sold let me look at my store real quick. I think the biggest order I had was about a $200 or $300 order on cards. $360. It was 2 cards, $360.
Now, do you use like a small priority flat rate box or something, or do you just?
I shipped it priority just to get the insurance, just to be safe. I mean, it's not gonna get damaged, but if it got lost or whatever,
yeah,
right.
I use the same 2 things. There's 2 cards, so I put each card in a penny sleeve, and then this, so there's 2 of these.
Yeah,
just dropped it in this and shipped it priority. You know, I had literally for every card that I sell, I had literally less than a penny in each one.
Sure.
You know,
awesome.
So like I can afford to take a hit on the priority. Plus, the customer got it quick. You know, it was well packaged. You know, I think I sold it with only because standard envelope eBay it can't be any more than $20.
Right.
So I probably sold it with just standard first class shipping.
Yeah.
And then I upgraded it to a priority on a number of them and just shipped them that way. So yeah, I can get an affiliate link for the little.
Yeah, you go, man. Toss it in the chat.
I don't know if they have one, but yeah, it's a great product. And then the eBay envelopes are great as well. They make this one, they make one that almost is a little bit longer. I didn't really care for that one. And then go ahead.
I was just gonna say I thought about getting those same mailers with my next coupon, the ones you were just showing.
Yeah, I like those. They've got one that's a little bit longer. The comics, I was not prepared at all for the cards originally. So I went out and bought penny sleeves and top loaders at Walmart, which was probably a bad decision. But when I first started selling, I'm like, I've got to do this. And then I started ordering these, and they came in a couple of days. Before I even listed the first comic book, I went out and bought the Gemini mailers. They are incredible.
Yeah.
It's a pre-scored or whatever, and it's a big, and you just take it and it just kind of compresses. And it's great. I've shipped even books in it. Great for shipping books.
Yeah, I've received some stuff in those Gemini mailers before, and they are awesome.
They offer a lot of protection. It's already scored where it folds over just right.
Yep. Like
that. Get it. Somebody sell something.
Yeah, just made $10.
With the eBay envelope, Anthony, though, the one that Craig has, I have those too. The only bad thing is that's only good. You really can only use those for your over $20 items because it'll standard envelope. I don't think it'll still work with that.
It does.
It does.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what the measurements are, but that's what I looked at because I knew I was going to be selling some of those $2, $3, $4, maybe $5 cards. I was going to be sending out
to be 3 ounces.
This weighs shipped an ounce.
Oh wow!
But then I can get a good number of cards in. I think I've only had one that's been 2 ounces.
Oh, very cool.
But yes, measurements wise, because there is a maximum, measurements. Didn't mean to correct you, but yeah,
No. I didn't realize that.
Before I bought them,
thought,
I did that. Before I bought them, I did that research to make
yeah,
sure.
I thought it had to be smaller I thought it had to be a small, like more like 4x6 or something that the actual like label would just fit on. I didn't realize it could be that size. That's cool.
I think one of the requirements with standard envelope on eBay is that it has to be, the label has to be put on parallel. I couldn't put it on this way. It has to be parallel with the thing because they're actually putting them through. I used to work in a mailroom. My very first job I got right after I first got married was working in a mailroom. And they just take these things and they go through a scanner just like this. It's and it actually reads the address and make sure it says postage and everything. So if you look at the printout on a label, it's got a barcode.
Yeah.
It's got all that in it. So that's why it's got to be this way, because they can't send them through this way. It's got to be just like a normal envelope and processed laying parallel.
Oh, okay.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
That's
especially with as many as I send.
What?
I wouldn't even have thought to do it that way.
Yep.
Nice.
So I'm prepared. I'm still listing comics. That's all I processed out of it. The magic cards, I'm still working through those. The comics. In the comics, there was some, I think I told you, Anthony, there was some rather mature subject matters. I'm trying to find a way to get rid of those. I'm not putting that stuff up on eBay.
Yeah.
I don't want to risk my account. I just passed the 1,000 feedback recently. That was a big milestone. But
for the comics, did you get the bags and the boards? What you had?
Everything. 99% of the comics were in the boxes. Were all bagged and boarded.
Oh wow!
Awesome. There were some loose comics, not many. The bags are in rough shape. Which, talking to John, who's done a lot of comics, Nevermore Antiques, Brad Relics, whatever he is now, he said the bags kind of get a gummy feeling to them. Not bad, like really gummy, but they kind of start sticking together. That just means they've been in there for a while. That usually tells you that they're a little bit older. But I did buy 2 bags of bags, just replacing them if I had to.
Nice.
So
I'm sure it probably makes it look a little bit nicer too, so it might make it sell faster.
With all the comics, they're bagged and boarded before I put them in the Gemini mailer. I just use the little standard, what everybody uses to store clothing in.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, 10 by 12 or 9 by 12 or whatever, just to give it extra protection if it gets rained on or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want it to. And I've gotten several comments, feedback that have been positive on that, so I've kind of stuck with that. I did the same thing with the Dungeons and Dragons books.
So you don't use a bubble mailer, like a large bubble mailer for the comics or stuff like that?
When I first started, I think the first couple of Dungeons and Dragons books, I did that because the Gemini mailers had not come in yet. But I still put the book in the in that, and then put it in the bubble mailer.
Makes sense.
And some of the Dungeons and Dragons, there's a lot of hardback, but there was some of the softback stuff, and I would cut a piece of probably shouldn't have done this, but I cut a piece of the priority box and just stuck it in there to give it some support. Yeah.
For those, as far as looking them up, like the comics and the Dungeon and Dragon stuff, you just basically use eBay sold comps for research.
Yep.
That's what I figured.
And I've really only a comic on the Dungeons and Dragon stuff. Like I said, I've sold 75% of it, and it's all listed.
Yeah.
The comics I've processed. I probably processed half of a long box. I've thumbed through a lot of other stuff, but I haven't really gone through it and priced it. I've got 7 of those. I pulled out either 2 or 3 complete runs of a series. There were Dungeons and Dragons comics.
Nice.
One of them listed for $229. One of them listed for like $160, and one for $200. They may sell, I don't know, but I've got nothing in them, and they're already listed, so they're just sitting over in the corner waiting on.
Yeah. So if you're a Dungeon and Dragons fan, hit up Craig.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's really cool, man. So yeah, man, I think you'd clean up with a lot of those comics if you did like a like YouTube auction or, like any number of these like streaming selling platforms probably.
I may do that. There's nothing high end,
Yeah.
I don't think. I pulled out some of the better stuff. Some of the adult mature stuff, there's some runs that are $100, for 4 comics. But I'm just not going to do that. I'm not.
Yeah.
And there's not any more big high dollar comics. I mean, I'm gonna have to put them in runs of 8 or 10 comics, and if I get $9.99, $11.99 plus ship,
Yeah.
I think I may go on. Who was it? Can't even think of his name now. Morning Show, Florida or Massachusetts. Paul, yes.
Paul Antonelli. Shout out to Paul.
I
used to go on his auctions all the time.
I mean, I just hate to jump because there's nothing. There's some neat comics, but there's not. There's not any key issues. I kind of thumbed through it. John helped me, trying to identify key issues. It's all going to be $2 and $3 comics.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Like that's worth just lotting up. You know what I mean? Like, $2, $3 a piece. You know what I mean? Put together like 10, 20 of them.
I was trying to find out what's going to fit good for shipping. How many I can fit in either in Gemini mailer or.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you could, if you could fit 6 of them in a Gemini mailer, just put 6 of them in a Gemini mailer.
I cannot answer that question on grounds that it might incriminate myself. You're not supposed to.
That's what I thought because of the advertising or whatever.
Advertising, right? Correct. Media mail is made for anything that is really for bound material.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even supposed to ship yearbooks media mail.
Interesting.
Because they have advertisements in them. But
that's true.
Yeah, I ship them all media mail unless it's over a certain amount. Then I ship it priority.
Makes sense.
Those runs that I have listed for $200, I'll probably ship priority. Because they're under 18 inches. May end up being able to go cubic with it and save some money, or even put it in a flat rate box.
Yeah.
I think it's only 30 comics, and most of them are double sided when they're bagged and boarded. So it's really only a stack of 18 boards. It won't be too bad.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's awesome, man.
It's
so you said you were planning to put out some form of video on your channel about this unit.
I've got some clips. I just need to put it together and do something. I don't remember how much detail it has in it, but yeah, if you're interested in it, follow my channel. It'll be out there at some time between now and 2030, maybe.
I do have Craig linked down below too, guys. So if you want to go over and follow his channel, I highly recommend it. Like I said, he's a wealth of knowledge in a lot of different areas. So if you're interested in selling stuff online, definitely check him out. You can actually go back through his channel too, and there's a lot of like how-tos and different things like that he's done over the years too. So there's definitely some decent stuff to go over there and see, so you won't just find an empty channel.
Oh yeah. My how-tos have definitely been my best. I've got one that's approaching 150K so far.
That's awesome.
Views. It's been good. I just added some affiliate links to the tool that I use. It's a printer repair video, and I just added an affiliate link for the tool that I used. It was like a hex driver or something.
Yeah,
I added it about 2 months ago, and I've already made like $30 or $40 in affiliate money off of it.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's not bad just for dropping a link somewhere.
Yeah. I struggle with YouTube. I enjoy it. And I think what I don't really have a drive, but my curiosity is I know that there's opportunity there.
Yeah.
And you can't take advantage of that opportunity if you don't do it.
True.
That one video has paid me $1,700, $1,800.
That's awesome.
And it's 2+ years old.
Yeah, I mean the ones like that
yeah.
are the ones where, for lack of better words, the money is and stuff, stuff like that, everything. But to your point, as you said earlier, it's that balance of where's my time gonna make me the most money?
Yeah.
And that's not your typical video, in general, unless you're into yard sale content or storage unit content or whatever, Look at these channels now, and they're getting 120,000 views on a video on a yard sale video that they're not even selling the stuff that they bought in the yard sale. You know, it's crazy. But there's opportunity out there. You just got to get lucky, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that algorithm is a pain in the butt to like really catch too, man. Like, you know, I mean, I'm sure you know. I mean, we all know. We're all still waiting on that thing to pick us up. You know, so like banging your head against the wall. You know, like wow. You know, like you said, like somebody could go out there and put a video out there that might not be as good a quality as what you're putting out there, and it just blows up for whatever reason because the YouTube algorithm sucks that, I don't know, SEO or whatever it is out as opposed to like your stuff. So that can be frustrating.
I think so much of YouTube is throwing something up against the wall. When you find something that sticks, just doing more and more and more of it. You look at these channels. You look at these channels. They start from doing, hey, what souls in eBay reselling niche is where everybody makes their entrance, right? You start out, hey, I sold a pair. Here's a label from a pair of jeans. Here's this, paid this. That's where everybody starts. And those do okay. But then they figure out something, whoever did the first yard sale content, they realized that worked. And then now that's all these people do.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that's a critical piece to YouTube is once you find something that works well for your channel, do more of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I know one thing that always got me with this though, like the yard sale people that they have the two channels. They have the one channel where they go show picking out the stuff. Then they have another channel showing like the what sold aspect. And I'm like,
what
I can't understand that piece.
You don't?
No, I don't understand that piece.
I think I've made reason of it. So much of YouTube is, in my opinion, I think YouTube takes your content and it pushes it out to your subscribers first, right? And I think it says, if you get a good response from your subscribers, then that tells you that it's good content. Number one, your subscribers like it. They're watching it. They're watching it for long periods of time. Then it's worth them pushing it out to more people to see if more people like it, right? So think of this, like my printer video. My printer video, 2 years old, I picked up 150 or so subscribers from it. That's not the style. I'm probably not gonna put any more printer videos out. Those subscribers will never watch any of my eBay content. Right. So I think the same kind of thing applies in the picking versus the yard sale. You know, the picking versus what sold, pulling orders and all that. It's a different audience. You know, somebody walking through so many of these videos that blow up in yard sale content, in my opinion, 90% of it is drama. She stole my item. She told me I couldn't film here. Majority of the people are watching that, in my opinion, are not watching to see what these people are buying for the value. Purely my opinion.
True.
You know,
I can almost, like, just from my personal content, like when I was doing a lot of yard sales and stuff like that, I'd have like banger like yard sale stuff. Man, I found this and this. It's gonna be worth X, Y, and Z. And it'd be like no views. And then like I have one where like it says like pervert in the in the thumbnail, and it like literally got like 10x the views of like any of my other yard sale stuff, just because it said pervert on the thumbnail.
There you go. There's your direction for your channel.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I obsess over YouTube at points. I've backed away from it probably the last 2 or 3 months, but I enjoy talking about that kind of stuff. I mean, I actually got a second channel, what used to be my Landshark Picker channel. I've done some content on YouTube, but I'm very analytical with numbers and how things work and all that.
Yeah.
So
that's what I used to love about your live streams, man, is like just the way you break down stuff. You know, you should definitely bring that back. Yeah. You know, just like talking about like whatever topics are like fresh and hot, you know what I mean? Like what your takes are on them and how it applies.
Yeah, I need to. It's just hard. Just like eBay. Even on eBay, I've had a hard time being consistent with listing items on eBay. That's always been a challenge. I'm the same challenge with YouTube.
Yeah.
Is it an ADD thing? I don't know. It probably is.
I find myself, I'm actually able to be a little more consistent with cards because of the speed and you know, front picture, back picture, boom, boom. Because I'm not selling I'm not selling
Exactly.
$80, $90 cards where I got to worry about, really close up pictures of the edges, the corners, the so on and
Yep.
so forth. I'm selling that $1.25 to, $4 or $5 card, right? And front back done, front back done. Look for a sell similar, bang, throw my pitch,
Yep.
change the title a little bit, put up my picture, boom, next one. And I'll list 25, 30 cards, quickly.
It's good to hear somebody else say that they list from sell similar. I've done that for years.
That's all I do. Sell similar.
I don't have to put in item specifics.
Mm-hmm.
All I do is if I'm comping something, I look for it. I look at the most recent highest priced one that sold, because that means they've done something right.
Yep.
I really struggle watching people that do live streams. I'll sit down, they'll spend 15, 20 minutes listing an item.
Yeah. I look price sold, and then I click on that and I look at their item descriptions. And if they have a bunch of them, I'm like, okay, that's the one I want. That's the one that somebody else picked on for some reason. Boom, I'm selecting that one.
Unless you're listing a really high dollar item and it sells like pretty regularly, like what's your hourly take if you're sitting there taking 15 minutes to make a listing? You know what I mean? Like you'd be like sweatshopping yourself. But I have the same issue though, like as far as being motivated to do X, Y, or Z for listing in a day. What I've started doing is like I have one of these like Ultra Pro boxes. It's just like a regular box that you can like put cards in or whatever. Like sometimes I'll take these whenever I go to card shows, put my bargain box stuff in so it don't get damaged. But I've been filling that up every day with like the cards I either want to photograph or list. That way it's like, okay, well, as long as I get this box done today, it's like my job for eBay today is done. You know what I mean? So I've been kind of trying to keep myself accountable by like, okay, number one, is the box packed for the next day? Like right now, the box is already packed for tomorrow. So this is what I'm going to work on tomorrow. But you know what I mean? So I try to always keep something like, and that's if I'm going to have time to do like eBay work that day. Some days like life gets in the way. You don't have time to sit around and do X, Y, or Z. But when I am going to have time, I always try to make sure I at least prep myself a little something to work on. So that way it's like, if I get this accomplished, I know I've at least done what I set out to do in that day.
How do you process that box?
So this box, this stuff's going to go to my virtual assistant. So essentially all I'm going to do is I'm going to get like another white box, or you can't really see it with my green screen, but essentially I have a white box there. I'm going to take each card out and I'm just lay it down and flat lay it, take a picture of the front and back of each card. And from there, here, I'll actually see if I can.
That's right. You don't have to get details. I was just curious if you went through and took pictures of all of them first, because I mean, I know people that are listing cards. So take all the pictures.
If I'm listing personally, like, so most of the stuff I'll list personally will be like the more higher stuff, like the slabs and stuff like that. I'll go through one by one, look it up, sell similar, take the pictures in the listing, sell it that way. If it's something I'm sending to a VA, let me share my screen. Yeah, I'll show you what I do there.
I know with me, I probably take like 20 of them. Yeah.
I would take the entire box worth of pictures. And once I have it all done, I would just go to a folder right here, put the date. And then essentially what I'm going to do is every single card front and back. And then if I have multiples, like right here, you can see I have multiples of this card. I lay them down. So whoever's listing it'll know, okay, so there's 2 of these Aaron Judges. So we're going to do a quantity of 2. But then before it even gets listed, we're checking the store to make sure, like, okay, do I have an optic Aaron Judge in there? If not, then I'm going to list it like I would. But if I do have an optic Aaron Judge, I'm going to just change the quantity from like 1 to 2 or whatever. So that's typically what I'll do with like a lot of these like lower dollar ones. But you can basically do it any which way, and there's no right or wrong way. But for me, it's just easier to photograph the whole thing and just dump them all.
That's kind of what I was trying to get to. Is that what you did? Did you take all the pictures?
Mel's in the house. What up, Mel? If I'm doing the listing myself, I normally will go one by one. Like if, say I'm working on, the Aaron Judge card, I'll actually go through, do the entire listing, take my picture in the listing, and then move on. But if I'm just doing all this to get it through to a virtual assistant, then I'm going to just basically bang through as many photos as I can.
Right.
See, me, I've tried. I don't know why. I don't know if it's maybe the light box I use or something, but I have an issue with consistently being able to take pictures in the eBay app. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a stack of 20 cards and I'll go through and I'll create drafts. And then I just go ahead and I click on the title. It puts them in title order. I put the cards in that order. Bang, bang, bang. Take my pictures, load them up, put them on a computer, drag and drop them in, and, you know, get the listings done.
Yeah.
I bought one of the things I like. I've always used the light box thing or a fluorescent light. I bought one of the just cheap 18-inch Walmart ring lights. And that has made all the difference in some of my card and comic pictures.
Really?
That's awesome.
You know, it's cheap. I can put it away. The light boxes are great. They're just so damn big. You know?
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of room. Everything I do in here is in my bedroom, you know? So that folds up nice, gets out of the way. But
that's what I love about doing cards. Like, you can literally just set up a shelf like you have next to you and just, you know, start sorting them into boxes, and so easy to, you know, do out of a room like a bedroom or something like that. Or if you don't have a lot of room, like, because right now I'm in an apartment, I'm not in a house like I was before where I could store crazy amounts of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it does make a difference.
How do you file them for inventory, Craig? So you know where to pick them from.
I don't have a ton. I'm trying to think quantity wise. TCG, I've got 100 and something cards. If once I get to a good enough volume, I'm gonna have to make a change. Right now, they're just in page sleeves behind me. Right now, I've got labels on them. You know, if I've got multiples in different conditions on TCG to make sure I don't make a mistake, I've got a little sticker on the page that tells me what condition that one's in. Ultimately, I probably need to go to a larger box. I just haven't reached the volume yet that I have listed where I have to worry about that.
Yep.
Yeah. Does the stuff you've been listing sell pretty fast too?
TCG moved quicker than I thought it would. And I don't know if that's based on the era of the cards that I have. The stuff on eBay's moved pretty good. I don't think I sold any cards or comics or anything today. I've been averaging, you know, $160, $170 a day some days.
Wow. It's not bad, especially if you're not listing every day.
And I still have I think I've got less than 400 listings.
It's awesome.
I was at one point, I checked it a week or so ago, I was getting about a 35% sell-through rate on the whole store.
Nice.
But I do have a lot of crappy stuff in there. You know, I've got some Dollar Tree Blu-rays that I bought.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get rid of. I've got clothing, a bunch of general merchandise, but definitely seriously considering making the full-time move to selling cards, comics, stuff like that.
Definitely.
Just like we mentioned earlier, just so much easier to pack and list and all that.
And if you enjoy it, it's like, it's half the battle. You know what I mean? Like for me, like to go through a box like this and do 100 cards is nothing compared to going through and doing 100 of anything else, because I like enjoy looking at the cards.
Yeah.
Clothing drives me crazy. And I've sold some decent clothing over the last couple of years, but I've got about 4 or 5 bins of stuff that I bought at the Goodwill bins that probably will never get listed. Because you got to hang it up, take a picture of it, fold it.
Yep.
That's a 7 or 8 minute listing.
Yeah, you're taking probably, you know, 7 or 8 pictures. Right. And then you're making sure you put measurements in and all the other extra, you know, steps and everything. That's why, like when Anthony and I were talking, I said, you know, I've already decided, you know, that as I, you know, move along, you know, I'm going to be more, you know, cards, maybe, you know, CDs, maybe DVDs, maybe some action figures, stuff like that. But, you know, the stuff that's going to take consistently, you know, 8 or 9 pictures and then measurement, I just don't, it's just not worth it anymore. It's just, you know, I just now, and then I don't know, like you, the space to hang it up to find this, I mean, like if I had a room where I could have that station for clothing that stayed up 100% of the time,
Right.
and a larger light box 100% of the time, I think it would be, it'd be a little easier. But take it up, put it down, take it up, put it down. It just becomes a pain in the ass.
Right. And what's frustrating with clothing, I don't know if you know this brand or not. Have you ever heard of Rothy's?
No.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's a women's shoe. That's about a $60 or $70 pair of shoes, and it's a very casual shoe. I've sold this pair of shoes twice, and it's been returned both times. I've had 2 or 3 items that way. That's been I sold a women's bikini top. It was a Lands End. I didn't get like $15 for it. I'm like, I paid nothing for it because I got it at the bins, but it shipped it out twice and paid return shipping. I threw it in the damn garbage. I put the size in the listing, took pictures of the size thing that's in the inside right there.
Yeah.
Both women that got it said it didn't fit.
Sucks. Kamikaze has a question. He says, do you guys think raw cards will see a bump now that grading came down in price? I do personally. But the other thing that could be a little bit tricky is I think there's a lot of people that are not as trusting of raw cards on eBay. Even though you can always return them as like item not as described, I think there's a lot of people that are a little iffy when it comes to buying raw. Although I think like most of the stuff that I deal in, most people don't care about because it's like, oh, okay, that's a base Luka Doncic 4th-year card. You know what I mean? Like, but for the most part, I think
depending on the seller to grade their cards appropriately and correctly.
Correct.
Well, I think what I think is I think you will see a bump maybe in that more people will buy the raw because they can get it graded, but I don't know if you will see a bump in price. I think we'll see a bump in volume. I don't know if the price will go up as much as we think it will. But I can see more people saying, wow, with the price it is to get it graded, I would rather buy, a card, a raw card, at a cheaper price and get it graded myself.
It's like finally worth it for like guys like me and you to be able to grade again, Michael.
Yeah,
it's finally down to like affordable prices because we're not dealing in like a super high end market. We're dealing in like cards that we might get out of like a retail blaster or something like that for the most part.
Well, and you think it's crazy that they're doing what, $15 a card, but yet still pre-pandemic, it was $8 a card for bulk. So it's still just a hair under double, a few years later.
Yeah. Are they processing them quicker now? Because I know at one point PSA was like a 6-month turnaround or better.
Yeah, they're typically like anywhere from like 4 to 6 weeks now in their turnaround. Yeah. At least they've been like that on like most of the orders I've sent to them.
That's
so I have one order that's been like held for like ever in a day, and I can't figure out why. But
because that's tough. Because so much of that sports card market is driven on what season it is.
Yeah,
what's the current sport? And that I bought some stuff maybe a year ago. And I'm like, it was like with the Tua rookie. It was an optic or one of those. I'm like, maybe I need to get that. I think I talked to you and Nate about that one night when I opened that up. And I was like, it was still a hot card. Do I need to get it graded? And I was like, it's going to be 6 months. It's not going to be football season anymore.
Right.
That could go from being a $70 or $80 graded card to $20. So I don't know. I've never had a card graded ever.
Kamikaze's waiting on the 10 to 12 range or keeping them raw. I know that CSG is at 12 right now, from what I understand. And you mentioned ComC. They're actually grading via ComC now, too. So you can get your cards done by CSG or CGC if it's like a TCG or like Marvel type card via ComC now as well, which is kind of cool.
They grade comics as well, don't they?
They do, yeah. CGC.
Yeah. And they do
coins as well.
They do money. They do coin. They do paper money. That's they're they've been around. They were really at one point the place to go for Pokemon graded cards.
CGC was.
Yeah. And then they got into sports cards probably 18 months, maybe a year and a half ago, maybe somewhere
Something like
around
that.
there. Yeah. You know, so it's funny. So a lot of people are like, oh, they're the new kid on the block. And I'm like, yeah, not really. I mean, they're maybe new for sports cards. They're not new. Like, it's not like HGA brand new, right? You know, it's not, you know, it's nothing like that type of thing. You know, from that standpoint. But I forgot what it was. What is it Gem Rate or somebody, whoever puts that data together, like stuff? I think CSG moved into second place as far as number of cards being
Yep.
processed over the last few weeks.
Oh, really?
They're the
Yeah.
fastest in terms of like getting to 1 million cards graded as a company.
Yeah.
Which, like, I was pretty impressed with. Granted, they've already had like built in like collector bases, like as like their customers, like whether you deal in currency or comics or any number of their other services that they offer. But yeah, the thing that I'm waiting on is for those guys to really get a bump in the resale market. Because as far as like moving like their slabs, like I love the way the slab look. It's clear, it's translucent. The service seems to be good. I've submitted with them 3 or 4 times, but it was like when they first came out. I haven't even submitted with them since they've upgraded the label yet. But in my opinion, I think that there's still a little bit of ways to go on the secondary market as far as like people really, really wanting the slabs. Because I had a lot harder of a time moving their slabs as opposed to like PSA or SGC or Beckett.
Right.
But I mean,
they're
in the ballpark. You know,
is there a pecking order? Is that?
Yeah, so PSA is kind of like the king of the market right now.
They've been around forever.
But then it basically tier 2 would be kind of like Beckett and SGC. My opinion, I think SGC is passing them, but Beckett still is like that name recognition. And then CSG is kind of like the last of like the top 4 main grading companies. It's the cheaper one out of the 4. It's $12, I think, is their bulk price. It's the cheapest out of all the 4. But then when it comes to resale value, you're going to be getting less. And then there's going to be less demand for those slabs too, which is going to kind of suck, because there's a lot of people that, like, for example, if you go to some of like the bigger card shows or card shops, if you don't have it in like a PSA or a Beckett or even SGC, sometimes they don't even want to buy the cards off of you, even if it's like an in-demand player.
You think people use those level of grading companies more for PC stuff?
I think so. For the most, like, I think if you're looking to flip, most people are going to go through like a PSA or even like an SGC because they're so fast. But even SGC, you're losing like maybe 30%, 40% value from PSA. And then the crazy thing is, like, the volume that the PSA cards are going to sell at is going to be much better. You know what I mean? Just like average cards that I've listed in my store in a PSA slab, as opposed to like better ones I've listed in like other companies, they just move faster in PSA. It's like Coca-Cola versus like Pepsi or whatever. People are going to want like the bigger label or whatever, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I just my thing I hope we get to see is where a 10 is a value 10 no matter whose slab it is. You know, because
but does that open up the market for Craig's grading company to start doing that?
Yeah, but I'm saying, but with the obviously as you gain reputation, but I mean, it should be at the point to where an SGC 10 and a PSA 10, they should really be the same value.
Because a mint or a near mint card should be a near mint card, or a gem mint card should be a gem mint card, regardless of who made that decision. Theoretically, should be.
Right.
Right. I mean, like I said, I started collecting cards in 1980. PSA probably came out in the mid 80s. If I would have to guess, maybe late 80s, maybe early 90s.
Okay.
So there wasn't a whole lot out there when I did that, but you great. I didn't sell a whole lot of stuff, but when you were
1991.
What?
1991 was when they came out.
And I think when you look at it from a standpoint of, Craig, you think about it, like, so you started in early 80s. I started mid 70s. So when you think about it, in 1980, right, you had whoever the rookie was, Joe Smith, he might only have, let's say, 4 rookie cards because there was only 4
Right.
companies, and it wasn't
Yeah.
17 different variations.
There were no inserts. It was just base cards.
No, it was a
Yeah.
freaking card, and that was
You
it.
had a base card, and in baseball, you had an all-star card.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
started
Dommy,
in
that's what I'm hoping for.
1980, so I was 1980. I was chasing the Ricky Henderson rookie, which I loved.
Mhm.
At that point in 1980, that was a $200 or $300, $150, $200 card.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what it is now, but
Well, it's funny. There's a guy, Scotty B Cards, did a video of one of ones, and he compared. I forgot who he compared, but I think he compared like Mike Trout, somebody else, and Wander Franco. And he said that yes, there was a good amount of Mike Trout one of ones, but there was over 200 Wander Franco one of ones.
wow,
200 one of ones.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy.
But that's driving people to buy those $3,000 boxes that have the one-on-ones in them.
That is true.
Very true.
It's a great marketing ploy from the card companies.
Yeah.
I remember when inserts first came out. The card packs went from being 35 cents, 50 cents to $2 a pack.
Oh yeah. Well, the first insert was they had the All-Star card or the League Leader card.
Yep.
Those were the different ones, and that was like the only thing that was different. But then but now it's like oh, the Astro, the Geo, the Circle, the this, the that, it's Mike was trying to put together the rainbow of Michael Chavis's rookie from prison, and I think to do it he has to buy 25 something cards.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's very difficult. Like I whenever I first really got crazy about the Cavs and rainbows became a thing, I used to try to collect the entire team set in the rainbow. And then it was like, man, I can't keep dropping this kind of money on Jetty Osman. You know what I mean? Like even like backup players are expensive if you're looking for those short printed cards that are numbered. Especially like once you get down to like the one of ones, the 3, the 5s, the 10s, like those can be some big money, especially if you're looking at the higher end players.
Yeah.
It was so simple back in the day. Like you said, when I started in 1980, it was Donruss came out in 81, right? 82, 81. So it was really just Topps at that point. I know Fleer had been around back in the 60s and back. 1980, Bowman was still kind of on the shelf. It wasn't out. It was a very simple market, Introducing the Topps, Fleer, Donruss, then you got into Bowman came back in the picture in the late 80s, I guess it was. 89 with like the Griffey Jr. card.
Yeah,
I know because they took I don't remember Bowman being around past like the mid 50s, right?
Right. Bowman was around, then it kind of went away, and then Topps brought it back.
Yeah, but it didn't come back to like 88 or 89.
Oh yeah, it didn't come back till it has a nice sized gap in it.
Yeah,
but you had Score and Donruss and Fleer. And Topps. I mean, that's really the 4 you had.
It was 1948 to 1955, and then it came back in 1989, just like you said.
Yeah,
absolutely. I've got talking about cards. And I always like to share this when I talk with people about cards. The person that my buddy I grew up with, met him playing baseball and going to school. He got me into cards. His dad would buy him a set of the Topps every year, baseball. But he was dating a girl whose dad was an eye doctor. We were 16, 17, 18 years old. The dad gave him, they were just dating in high school, gave him the 48 Bowman. Was it 48 Bowman or 48 Fleer? Almost complete set. This was in 1988. So it was already 50 years old or 40 years old or whatever it was. I had the Yogi Berra rookie in it. Big set. It had all the big cards in it. He's since gone off and completed it. with just like common cards.
Oh yeah.
It was incredible. And that they didn't get married. Could you imagine doing that, giving that to your daughter, your son, and then never speaking to that person again? I mean, at that point, it was probably a $2,000 set.
Yeah. I mean, my dad was born in 1940. So in 1952, he was 12 years old when cards came out. And he would tell me the stories of, he goes, yeah, are you kidding me? You know how many Mickey Mantle rookie cards I had? You know how many of them went on my bicycle and, got, a clothespin to the fork so that the card would go through the spokes and everything and make the sound. I was like, no, but I don't want to hear that story anymore.
I wonder what the value of the 52 Bowman Mantle card was in like 52, 53, 54.
Oh gosh.
God, it had to have been probably
really
sub $1.
Yeah.
I mean, the high dollar cards at that point were probably in the dollar range.
Yeah.
The economy just wasn't what it is now. Not even with cards. I'm talking about the economy in general.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if there was like a real DeLorean, you could like go back in time and stop your dad from putting the mantles in there?
Oh my gosh.
Like you would be a hero to so many people in the hobby.
and you know what? That exact situation is why graded older cards from that era are so valuable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because they're few and far between.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even mid-range grades from that era are very valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, there are people who they go for the Mickey Mantles, and some of them look for like, a PSA 1 or a PSA like 1.5, just to go ahead and say they have one, and still are going to pay a nice chunk of change to do it.
Well, look back at that time. Plastic was probably even barely around, so there weren't top loaders to even protect it. Pages probably were not around. How did you protect cards?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the 70s, you may be able to get pages. I don't know. I started collecting in '80. We had stuff in boxes. We had the 9, whatever the protected pages, but that was it.
Yeah, you had binders. I don't remember. I mean,
the
only boxes you really saw were the ones that they sold the sets in.
Right. So a lot of people just kept them in the box that you would see in the retail establishment.
Yeah, because I mean, heck, we didn't go to a card store to get cards. We went to the candy store or the stationery store.
Right.
And they usually had, they might have had the rack packs hanging up, and then they would have 2 boxes. They would have, the big pack, which was like maybe 40 cards, and it was like 75 cents. And then they had the other one, which was like 10 or 12 cards, which was, maybe like 35 or 40 cents. And that was it. And that was it. And the funny thing was, when I would go and we would go and we'd see the box up by the register, and it would have the one that had, the clear cellophane.
Yeah.
We'd look through every single one, but we weren't thinking stars. We were looking, ooh, I don't want to buy this pack because I already have the top and the bottom card. I'd rather get one that I know at least one of those cards I don't have. And that's how we picked that. That's how we picked the pack out.
And you knew that the way those things were packed was in a pattern back in that day. You could definitely know that the third pack on the bottom from the the left-hand side was a banger card. It was.
So I was looking online to see kind of when top loaders and sleeves and that stuff came out. It's looking like it was somewhere in the 80s, like early to mid 80s is when people started using those. There's no one with like a definitive like, hey, yeah, this started like 1981 like that. But from what I can see, it was definitely before 1985. So that's via Reddit, if anyone's wondering.
I remember the days of being able to go into cash and carry, or like what used to be, what is a Sam's now, but was just a little wholesale place you go for the public. And I remember in 1983 buying a box of 1983 Fleer baseball for like $10. And that's a 36 count. That's 360 cards.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a sweet set. I really liked that set because that was the Gwynn rookie. the Boggs rookie. What else was in the 83? Sandberg, Ryan Sandberg.
Yep. Yeah, it was a great set.
I wish I could get rid of the information in my head about sports cards.
Hey, you might need them one day. Keep finding storage units like this.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, I look at what we did when we were kids. I mean, we used to, when we traded cards, again, there was nothing about value. You didn't, like the cards that had value were for the team that you rooted for. So in 1977, 1978, my friend who was the Yankee fan, here you go, take all the Yankees. It didn't make a difference, that Thurman was in there, Reggie Jackson. It didn't make a difference who it was.
Right.
And he did the same thing with me. Oh, yeah.
I'll give you all my Braves for all your Yankees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we'd, go and we'd flip cards. And the first one to go ahead and make the card lean against, either the curb or the wall won all the cards that were, that were thrown out that time. So you think about, you talk about dinged corners and rough edges or scratches. We didn't care.
Can you imagine doing that? Like ripping a pack, doing that with your like Zion and John. So Luka Prism silver.
Well, that's what was done with, Cal Ripken Jr. cards and some of the other guys from that era, the Ricky Henderson card. We didn't really know any better. We weren't. It wasn't about. That's when you look at the hobby and you saw when we went to that show, Anthony.
Yeah.
There are kids, and I mean kids. These are 10, 12, 13-year-olds with Zion boxes, throwing down cards going, oh, yeah, I got this one over here. I mean, at eBay, on right now, the comp is about 500, but I could do, 400. I'm like, 400? I don't even know if I own a 400 card now, let alone back when I was 12 years old and having a friggin' Zion case full of PSA or SGC slabs.
Todd's got a great point. I built a lot of sets. That is that's a lost art now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
It's so fun. I remember the days of this was back in the days of Daisy Wheel printers, not laser printers. I'd go in and type up, here's the cards I need to complete this set. And you go to the local card shop, okay, thumbing through penny box.
Yep.
Okay, I'm looking for number 37 in this 1982 Topps. There it is. Mark it off the list. Yep. It was so fun.
I think even today, like there's a lot of people that like maybe aren't collecting the full set because of all the variations, but like say they might collect an insert set. Like when WWE came out with the Heritage set, they had a subset in Heritage that was Allen and Ginter that was like 30 cards or something like that. And it's not super expensive, but it was like if I rip 2 or 3 hobby boxes, I'll get enough Allen and Ginter cards. I can have that entire set. So like that was one of like the last like sets I went after just because it was like attainable, like with a few rips. Like with modern cards now having so many variations, like, and I would imagine like if you're a set collector, you're probably a completionist. So even if you have the full base set, does it even feel complete to you?
Right.
Yeah, Harlan, you're right. You're right. You think of some of the things that we saw back then, the stuff that was sitting around. You're right. Fleer. Hey, who wanted those cards? Well, that'd be a crap ton of people.
Who's this Michael Jordan kid?
Yeah.
but I mean, really, you can't look back at it.
No.
I mean, really, anybody that had the wherewithal to stick back 10 boxes of that stuff at the time.
Hey,
1986, the economy is still not real good.
Right. Exactly. But, you look at it even from a standpoint of, up until recently, the whole thing with the number of, with the number of boxes you could find, you can't find, and so on and so forth and everything. I mean, it was still the exact same way. You still had, just before the pandemic, wasn't you could go ahead and walk out there and you can go to a Walmart or something like that, and there'd be Prism basketball with Luka's rookie card in there, it's just sitting there for forever. I mean, so it's even up until recently.
because that box of 8 cards costs you $35 now.
Right.
The barrier to entry is increased tremendously.
Well, and now you have the boxes that are, $7,000 for 7 cards.
And that would be impossible to build a set like that. Like, could you imagine trying to like complete the set of like Flawless or like, NT or like something that's just like insane per box?
I don't know how you would. I mean, because are there really checklists of those? I mean, I know there are, but you never know. I mean, I don't know. It's just, to me,
I think if you go to
crazy.
Cardboard Connection, like anything sports related, there should be a checklist for, including subsets. It should have that. But then if it's like a different type of card, you can go to other sites and potentially find checklists. But this is a good point by Todd here. It says, if they stop producing factory sets and short printed certain cards in series, maybe building sets would come back. I can see that too. It is nice though. Like if you do want just a full base set, you can just like go and pick it up, and not have to worry about trying to collect it all via packs. But it does kind of take the fun away a little bit, because for me, like right now, I'm going after 2 more of the LeBron Spellbounds. So it's just like the thrill of finding another letter. You know what I mean? And like right now, I have like an E LeBron just sitting over on my shelf, like reminding me, hey, have you looked for a Spellbound yet today?
Well, I think to your point, kind of like you said, before, the hobby is so split now between collectors and investors.
Yeah.
And I think that's what part of the big, difference is, because you have that divide. You have people who look at things, completely different. And that's why I think the set building has become harder, because of the value of some of these cards now. That 1 or 2 cards in that set are a lot more money, and it makes it harder for the regular person to, complete a set.
Yeah. Even with the price of like wax, like even like you're paying like $200 for like a hobby box of hoops at this point, like maybe $150, $200, somewhere in that range, So like even completing like a base set of like hoops, which is like a lower end basketball product,
and
it's not super easy.
And when you look at baseball, where it makes it a little tougher, we'll get to Harlan's comment in a second, but like baseball, like when you take Topps baseball, right? You have series 1, you have series 2, then you have update series. The problem is like when you buy, if you buy a hobby box of update series, you're going to get so many doubles, because they're, what I'm saying? So they're making you say, oh, I got to buy all of series 1, and then a certain number of series 1 will be in series 2. So I'm going to get a whole bunch of doubles there. And then there's only a certain number that's going to move over, but Harlan was right. The baseballs reigned back then. Yep. The basketball went from Topps in the 80s to Star. The guys printing them out of their garage.
Yep.
And then they went to Fleer and stuff. And there's some Star baseball too,
Really? That's right.
There's a little bit of Star baseball, but it's tough. It's tough. Like I was saying, when and that's what makes it hard to figure, that's why I say, the whole thing, just collect what you want to collect and don't worry about anything else. Who cares? Whatever brand it is, whether, just collect what you want to collect, rather than trying to keep up and think you have to have, the Immaculates and the Flawless and the NTs and all those cards. Just collect what you like, man.
And if you come across any of this guy, just remember, he's no good. Send them all to me.
Who was that?
It's LeBron. He didn't just break the scoring record yesterday, guys. That didn't happen. Send me his cards.
Yeah.
I have one from Champions, Goodwin Champions.
Uh-huh.
That I have to get listed.
Nice. Is it a vertical one or a horizontal one?
It's this one right here.
Okay.
Shiny.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, Harlan talking about minor league cards. I dabbled in the little, what it wasn't classic. Maybe it was Star. They were white cardstock and had a little thin line around it.
Yep.
But I also remember I don't know, Mike, if you ever did anything with the Upper Deck minor league cards. They were pretty hot when they came out.
They were.
Like 92, 93. It was about the Jeter time, give or take.
That's a good pickup, Harlan.
Damn, Harlan.
Bet you all of those just went up in value last night.
That's a really good pickup.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm basically hoping to use LeBron as my 401k. So like as he like retires and gains prestige, I'm gonna start getting rid of the cards of his I don't care about.
Yeah.
You know, like the crappy ones that come out today, like the base stuff. Like because even if you look at like Michael Jordan, like his last year cards, like in a graded condition, are still valuable.
Yeah.
I'm hoping LeBron follows that same trajectory and allows me to like sip Mai Tais on an island somewhere one day.
Yeah. You've got the LeBron Topps rookie, don't you? Graded? Didn't you get that?
I do, yeah.
That was one of your big pickups. I remember seeing that.
Yep. Love that card.
Yeah, but like you mentioned the minor league and stuff like that. Like now, you know, Topps will do the minor league and they will have, and all the different ones and stuff. It's kind of hard. Like, but even when you look at like Bowman is another one now, where you have more of the minor league guys, but it's, but again, we talk about like rookie cards and all kind of stuff. Well, a guy may have 5 Bowman cards before he makes the big leagues, and then he has a Topps rookie card, and you're going, okay, so his first card is which one then?
Yeah, his debut card is then,
yeah. Actually, question on the Bowman front for you, Michael, since you're more of a baseball guy. So I'm learning a lot about Bowman and stuff just watching Marty rip some of these like high-end boxes of like prospects. It's like guys that theoretically like a year from now the box could have zero value because if none of those prospects turn into anything, it's basically going to be junk wax. You know what I mean? So it's a very risky game that you can play with the prospecting. So my question is like, how frequently does like an entire class, like say like this year's Bowman class, like how frequent would like an entire class bust or like not turn into like anything?
More will be bust than will be successful.
Okay.
So here's something for you. Ken Griffey, you know how long baseball's been around, right?
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr. was the first, now, number 1 overall pick to make the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
The first.
That's interesting.
I know Chipper Jones made it. I think they may be like the only 2. To me, here's the thing for me when it comes to Bowman cards and stuff like that. And I tell this to everybody. If it's a player you want to collect, that's one thing. But if it's not a player you want to collect, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, this is not investment advice or anything. But if you get a guy and if he's not your PC and not for a team you play on, sell him now, because more than likely, he's not going to, his better chance of him going down than it is going up. And there are plenty of guys. There are plenty of guys like that. Look at now. Finally, the kid's going to the kid's still young. He can still go ahead and do something. But look at Jason. I don't know if you say Jason. Some people say Jason Dominguez for the Yankees, right? There are people who paid $1 million for his cards. Wow. Like ridiculous. $500,000, $600,000, $1 million. Taking a chance for a kid who was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And it's taken him now he's 19, 3 years. Those cards are nowhere near that price. So for that card to get back to there, he not only has to make the big leagues, then he has to do something when he gets there.
Yeah.
Have you had any luck speculating on a rookie? I see a lot of lots of say, here's 20 whatever year, whatever brand rookie cards of whatever person. They're cheap.
The ones I've done really good on were Cavaliers. Like when Colin Sexton was blowing up, like I cashed in big on Colin Sexton. Like I had a bunch of like graded PSA stuff of him just because I collect the Cavs.
Right.
And You know, I sold like a base prism of his PSA 10 for like $300. I think I might have paid like 30 for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's insane.
Basketball, football, very, very different. Very, very different, because a guy, I mean, don't get me wrong. It still
Yeah.
could happen with football. Some of these guys, their rookie card is going to go up and stuff. But, that's the thing, though. Like, with baseball and stuff like that, you rip open, like Marty pulls a lot of those guys and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of those pitcher autographs, I'd be listing those raw and try and get as much money as I can right now, because they are one pitch away from ruining their career and those being worth nothing.
Yeah, good point.
Right? If they have any kind of value, if it's a $100 card, a $200 card, go ahead and get rid of it now, because unless you don't care, unless you want to gamble, but you're going ahead and you're taking a big chance.
The market is so volatile in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially with some of these guys that may never even make it to the big leagues.
Look at everybody that was buying up Ryan Leaf rookie cards when he came out.
Mm-hmm.
True.
You couldn't give them away right now.
Right. And like I said, when those got those, well, I mean, hey, look at Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to go ahead and say also, Zach Wilson potentially, right? People are paying money for that now, you don't know. It's tough. And that's, it's funny. You hear people always say, look, with Hall of Famers and GOATs and stuff. But that's no fun, because after a while you can't afford those.
Yeah, I can get much nicer cards of Varejao than I can of LeBron.
You can get that triple patch auto of Varejao.
Correct.
Yeah, Harlan, Mr. Irrelevant, if you're talking NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, but look at him. Look at him. Look what his cards were doing. He goes back to throw a pass, boom, elbow blows out. Done.
Yep.
Done. He may never be the same. But there are people that are probably buying up Purdy's like crazy, stashing them. Oh my gosh. This is the next Tom Brady, man. In 10 years, those cards are going to have a whole bunch of extra zeros on them. Well, no, now they don't.
But even whatever year Tom Brady's rookie card is, he probably wasn't a very valuable card on that year, was he?
Oh,
I can see why people are
couldn't
thinking that. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like Purdy or like any prospect that they're like really big on. The thing that crushed my soul in prospecting is like literally like going through like any bargain box now and finding like guys that I grew up with that are like equivalent to like, say, Gary Payton. That's like equivalent to like John Morant now. And you're seeing like his like top rookie cards like in dollar boxes, or Kevin Garnett, you know what I mean? Very easily comparable to like an Anthony Davis or like a Evan Mobley now, you know what I mean? Finding his cards in a dollar box, you know what I mean, that are rookie cards, you know what I mean? Like that type of stuff now, like, so unless you have like the true elite players of those generations, like you're just not looking at like huge returns like in the future.
Right.
No.
That's why I've gone so heavy with LeBron now. You know what I mean? Like I was basically like, I could be collecting more Okoros, who like hasn't shown anything as a pro yet, or I could just get LeBron, who I know one day is still going to be valuable.
No, but you see, here's the difference though. Johnny Manziel, that's an outgoing. But here's the difference, right? You won't mind if you went into a dollar box and you saw 10 Okoro rookie cards and buy all of them, right? But because he's also a Cleveland Cavalier.
Correct.
Right? You wouldn't do that if Okoro played for Utah.
Correct. That's why I'm selling all my Sexton right now.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the difference, I think, when it comes to certain things. A guy on your team that is you'll pick him up, because he's on your team, and hey, and stuff like that. But it's a lot of the guys that are it's easy to prospect if you're only paying a couple of bucks a card. It's hard to go ahead and take a plunge if all of a sudden the cards, are a few $100 a piece for a guy that is, non-proven or anything, like Jackson Holiday at a Bowman and everything. Yeah, he's supposed to be a can't miss. He was, one of the top draft pick. He's supposed to be a can't miss, and his, low number autographs are probably going for, I don't know. Some people will say, "Oh, you can get $30,000 for that. It's a $30,000 card." I don't know if it had to be true, but even still, even if it's $10,000, but that's good today,
right? Let's say that $10,000 card's not worth $200 next week.
Yeah, because you know what? Because as he was doing, because he was playing a pickup basketball game, jumped up, boom, and blew out his knee, and now he can't play for a year. So that's what I'm saying. To me, if you're a Baltimore, if you're a Baltimore fan and or whatever fan you are, and that guy's the hot prospect, go ahead, hold on to him. Who cares? He's on your team. You're going to collect him anyway. Even if the guy was a bum, you probably would still collect those cards.
Yeah.
But if it's not a piece, if it's not a team you like, dump them. Especially when you're paying $400 or $500 for a box.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, recoup what you can out of that box.
Yeah. I learned a lesson the hard way to get back to the eBay thing. I bought some Panini. Gosh, I told you about that box. I can't remember what. The brown box, Panini baseball. It's a thicker card.
Is it recent?
Yeah. It's
Capstone.
Capstone.
Yep. They look great, don't they?
I don't like that they're so thick.
Yeah.
That's a relic card up.
So right there, they ain't worth grading because you're not going to get good edges.
Right. But I think I sold the Bobby Witt auto out of it. Got like $60 or $65 for it.
Nice.
But then I took most of the low end stuff, the $1, $2 cards, and just did a complete your set variation listing.
Oh, nice.
Sold a couple of cards out of there, just standard envelope for shipping and everything. But I've always relisted my items after the 7 to 10 days. It just helps. You get that new listing boost.
Yeah.
And I made that mistake of doing that with a variation listing, and it reset my counts.
Oh no!
So I had to cancel 2 orders. I got the order for another Bobby Witt, just regular base card rookie. I'm like, I've already sold that, and I know I didn't have 2. What I've never realized I had relisted. So I got to find a way to manage that. But
yeah, you're right, Harlan. That is going to be the next guy. Oh my goodness gracious! Whatever he is in, I guarantee you will not be able to find those boxes anywhere.
Right now, there's a Sports Illustrated for kids that features his first ever card. I'm pretty sure they're selling for over $50 on the resale market.
Wow.
And it's like a book you can get for like $5-6 at the store.
He's the 6'10" point guard, isn't he?
I don't think
he's a point guard or
point guard.
I don't know. He's supposed to be the next.
He's a big boy.
The next big thing. But you're right, Harlan. Like, there's a guy right there. If he goes in any kind of box, I don't care if it's NBA hoops. I don't care if it's friggin' if I don't know if Score has basketball, whatever it is. I guarantee you those shelves will be cleared of that product the minute they get put on them.
He's a power forward / center.
Okay.
I was gonna say I thought he was like 7'2". Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They will get cleaned out. You won't be able to. Finding his cards is going to be extremely difficult.
Yep, absolutely.
For an unproven guy.
Every couple of years, there's that situation.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, well, Anthony, we talk about this. Well, hey, look, we talk about the prospecting and all the other kind of stuff, and but look at Zion.
Yep.
Look where he was. Look at his value. I mean, even this year, man, looked like he was going to go ahead and be able to stay healthy, and all of a sudden, boom.
Has his card value recovered yet?
I mean, I don't think anyone's card values really recovered from that boom because Zion Mania was really during like the big pandemic boom.
Right.
So like I don't think any card prices are really back to that point, but they're better than they were. If that says anything, but they're drastically down from kind of where they were at the height.
Well, also I think the reason why his card and why the base rookie cards will still do well is print run. They didn't print a lot of that product because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know?
Sam Bowie out of Kentucky, right?
Yep.
How would you like to
he didn't he lasted what, 2 years in the league? Had knee problems?
Yeah, knee and foot problems. No, Greg Oden.
Yeah, signed with the
Portland picked him. Portland picked him over Kevin Durant.
Yep.
You know,
definitely. Things went wild during the pandemic.
Yeah. It's it's interesting. It's the prospect, the broken femur. Oh yeah, the prospecting is it's so crazy. That's what makes us so nuts when you look at these guys and everything and the values of their cards and everything. I mean, remember Anthony? 2 years ago when we were at the Nationals in Chicago, right? And they pulled the Herbert Shield autograph or something like that right there at the Nationals, I think it was. They're like, "This $250,000 card."
Wow.
You got to be out of your flipping mind. Why?
Yeah. It's a piece of cardboard.
It's a rookie Justin Herbert 1/1 autograph with the NFL Shield.
Yeah. It's like that kid who was a teenager or whatever pulled that 1/1 black Mac Jones card, sold it for $100K, and thing like literally lost like 90% of its value.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Then the guy who bought it was probably like, "Oh my goodness gracious."
I struggle with some of these values. In the end, a card is only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it.
Absolutely.
You can say it's worth $3 million, but if you can't buy anybody that will pay you $3 million for it, it's not worth $3 million.
I think a lot of people that are in it basically just for the investment side, unless they've been like really smart with what they've picked, they're going to end up losing a lot of money in this because like a lot of the cards that are out here, unless you're like a genuine collector and like you care about like this Isaac Okoro card, 10 years from now, it's not going to be worth anything.
Look at everybody who's buying stuff. Look at everybody who's buying stuff in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Right? I've got 3 million 1988 tops. I bought box upon box upon box of that stuff. I enjoyed it. It was a neat set.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, the Greg Jeffries rookie. That was either 88. I guess that was 89. Gary Sheffield. I mean, it was a fun set, but it was just so overproduced.
Yeah.
You couldn't give it away.
Oh yeah. But it's even like today, you look at it from a standpoint of, I mean, you think about it, we're talking about guys buying, the really, really, expensive boxes though. But look at, even, Spectra basketball, $400 for a single pack of cards and everything. Wow. What percentage of those boxes will are gonna make their money back? Very few.
Yeah, it depends
compared to what it was.
I saw somebody. I don't know if it was a post on Facebook or I watched a YouTube video. What do y'all think about this? Do you think that these card companies are pushing top shelf premium product to some of these creators that have huge followings?
I think they are. Like, I mean, I can't guarantee it, but
right.
I would be shocked if it was my business and I could guarantee, like, okay, I'm going to put this out and get a whole bunch of excitement. I'm going to make sure he gets one of the better ones. I would do that.
Well, exactly. Think about it from a standpoint of is that if you get some of those top cards and you get them pulled on social media, people at least know that the valuable cards are actually able to be hit So it will drive people to go buy it because, yes, I may not be able to get the number 1 card out of it, but there's still card number 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's a bunch of other other cards that are really good.
And honestly,
what's your opinion?
I would have said no to that answer before Sports Card Radio put out that video of how you can like literally track kabooms. You know what I mean? Like knowing that it's trackable, like that means that Panini, Topps, whatever company is putting it out there, they know by the markings on the box if it's a good box or a bad box. So literally all they have to do is, okay, we're sending this to influencer XYZ. We're going to send them one of the bangers. You know, it doesn't even have to be like this is going to have like, you know, the best hit in the product, but at least like knowing, hey, this is one of the good boxes as opposed to like the bad boxes.
Right. I mean, it's just smart marketing. You know, they're doing a good job of it. I mean, you look in the reselling side of things. You look at Josh Harry Tornado that got 5,000, 10,000, whatever he got from Whatnot to go out and buy product. Just sell on their platform.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's a bad situation. I'm just saying you've got to consider that when you're looking at these videos.
Yeah, but you look at the guys. You know, another one that's brought up a lot is backyard breaks. Right now, I don't know it to be true or anything, but all I know is this: for the longest time, if you go back and you watch a lot of their stuff, they ripped very, very little baseball. When you look right, you always heard about them ripping football and basketball, then they got into soccer, right? But then all of a sudden, they start ripping baseball and they start ripping the top stuff out of the baseball. It may not be true at all, but the optics make it look as though it is true.
Right.
I completely agree.
But look how social media has changed all of this.
Yeah.
I also love how Backyard Breaks has played that too, because they were like, they put out like a video like, people have said that we get loaded boxes. And then their response is, why would you want to break anywhere else?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like not only a heel move, but it was like, yeah, I mean, if our boxes are loaded, then let's sell the hell out of some more breaks.
Harlan's comment, man, $55K just on sponsorship money from YouTube.
Yep.
That's pretty damn good.
Yep. So if there's anybody watching Collecting Profits and you'd like to sponsor Michael and I.
Harlan, did Bearded Picky take you to lunch? No.
Harlan did pretty good on his affiliate links. He did a review of a mattress or something that he ordered. Didn't you, Harlan? Didn't you do pretty well with that?
Kamikaze says, what if distributor has that information on boxes? They could very well do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what is like a little bit scary about the fact that this is a real thing is anybody that has that knowledge can do something like nefarious with those boxes. You know what I mean? Yep. Like imagine like you're a distributor. All you have to do is just get another box and take out the ones with the hits and repack them. Like literally, it's all you got to do is repack them, and you can keep all of the good boxes for yourself. You know, like
you talked about the Crown Royal, right? Hitman rips. Look at that, $1,000 on the mattress video.
That's awesome, man. God bless you.
Pimping ain't easy, Harlan.
I'm gonna have to learn more about this, Harlan. I need to figure out how to market myself, man.
And that was just affiliate links based on the product, and he got decent views on it. But I think it was all affiliate income.
That's awesome, man.
But you talk about, like you said, Anthony, it's just the not knowing. It was, Hitman rips. He had gotten, a case or a couple of cases of the Crown Royal, which is the one that if you know the sequencing of the code, you can kind of figure out which boxes have the better chance or almost guaranteed to have the kaboom, the big card. And after that video and everything came out, he was like, I'm not putting these in any of my, in any of my breaks anymore. Just he said, because I can't take a chance of someone going ahead and thinking that I'm not being honest with them and I'm saving all the other, I'm saving the other stuff. So yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff that can happen. It definitely can.
That was
happen.
respectable that he did that.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. So we've been going about 2.5 hours, guys.
Crying out loud! This hour show is going crazy.
I don't want to keep Craig too long in case he has to get up early for work or anything tomorrow. But is there anything going on in Huddle card collection this week that the people should know about?
Friday, we'll have our last Football Friday video. Football season ends on Sunday. So, we got the big game coming up. We got that. And then, look at the eBay store, get some really good deals on some, on some cards and stuff. That's the kind of stuff we have going on. When do we have the last card of our giveaway going on, Anthony? Do you know that?
I'm pretty sure OJ pulled them already, the TGT ones, because we forgot to do it last week.
Well, I know he sent the thing out for the second one. I just didn't know when he was going to release the third one.
I think he just pulled the last two.
Okay.
So the TGT ones have already been announced, but since we're done with that giveaway, maybe I'll think of something and we can do another giveaway for.
Very cool.
That way we just keep something running or whatever.
Yeah.
You guys are interested. Make sure you stay tuned to Michael's channel for next week because I'll figure it out and then we can actually leave comments down below whatever you think a good giveaway would be. And it'll probably be card related because I'm a degenerate and I've lost cards. But Craig, is there anything that you'd like the people to know about you before we wrap things up?
Subscribe if you want to. There may be content, there may not be content. don't expect a video a week. There will be a video at some point about the storage unit. So
cool. Well, I do appreciate you coming on and kind of sharing with people about it, man.
Thank you,
I always like finding out how different people are doing like different things with eBay and cards and just collectible stuff. So it was a really informative time. Definitely appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you letting me come on. It's been a while since I've done one of these kind of things, so I enjoyed it.
Dom says no more giveaways.
I kind of miss it.
No, Dom, when the video ends, come back, make a comment on what you'd like to see, and I will look for a Mookie Wilson card especially to see if I can find one for you.
Mookie Wilson. All right, who was the other Mets? Who'd they have? They had somebody else who was a rookie about that time.
See you, Harlan. Thanks for hanging out, buddy.
Hey, thanks, Harlan.
Mookie Wilson. When you said Mookie, I immediately went to Mookie Betts, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too.
No. Dom's a Mookie Wilson guy.
That's going to bother me. Mookie Wilson. Who else was in the – that was 80 or 81. Jesse Orozco.
Thanks, Dommy. Yeah, so – yeah, thanks a lot, Craig. Much appreciated you going in. Darling, Strawberry.
Strawberry.
Strawberry. Doc Gooden in 84.
Yeah, Gooden.
Is that 84?
What was Gooden? 85.
85, yes.
85.
84 was Mattingly.
Yeah, 84 is the Mattingly.
Bob Orgea.
Ojeda.
Ojeda.
I'm so bad at pronouncing baseball.
Bob Ojeda.
I'm gonna get crushed. Like if Marty wasn't actually doing the ripping, I'd get crushed on our baseball videos.
It's no worse than basketball. Basketball's got to be tough.
Well, I watch a lot more basketball, so it's like easier for me to know like who the players are because I keep up with it a lot more. Like baseball, it's like if the Pirates are playing, I'll watch it. Other than that, I'm not interested as much. But yeah, guys, we appreciate you all being here. Again, make sure you subscribe to Michael and Craig, and we'll be back next week on Michael's channel, 10 p.m. Eastern.